Yeah, about 40 minutes for a pro one is about it. But
as Anderson in, that's just clipped into the leg side to straight, short mid wicket, and there will be no run.
But they have an auto return.
They what? Sorry?
They have an auto return, so you can program them to come back to you. So when the battery gets to a low level, they'll automatically return to base.
What about if you've moved?
Oh, well, it'll come back to the receiver.
Oh, right, okay.
The controller.
I think Lisa installed one of them in me when I was asleep one night. when I'm hungry or tired, I just automatically return to base.
Or drunk, even perhaps.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah, more often than not. Anderson in to Matthews, and again blocked. 3 for 14 off almost 11 overs. Not a bad return for the old boy, is it?
It's pretty good. I mean, I thought you were going to. You were saying it's a little bit worrying this for England. I was wondering whether you were thinking further ahead to India when you were saying that, because, I mean, I'm afraid our spinners, and unless there is prodigious turn, are just not going to do anything. They can't even keep control well enough, can they? That's the worrying thing, I think. And of course, if it is turning square in India, then they've got people who can take advantage of that even better than we have.
Absolutely. As Anderson in, that's driven by Angelo Matthews, but well fielded by Mark Wood coming round at mid-on. Yeah, I think if it is turning a lot, they don't have the experience to know where they should be landing it to allow for that turn. And if it doesn't turn, as you say, they're no good at either, defending it and keeping it tight at one end, or learning to attack in that situation. So I think we're shit luck for Jadeja, but I think we've looked at the fact that he's not going to be available for India. Anderson in now. Looked like Matthews was shaping to give that a bit of a clout, but in the end changed his mind, blocks it to the offside, completes the 54th, 155 for 3.
Jay Grover's got very confused and thought that Annie Chave was on today, but she isn't. So he's multitasked, sending a tweet out for the last test. Time for the Bear Does Tech. On today's episode, drones, says Mog.
Bear Does Tech sounds a bit like one of those programs you get late or early, very early in the morning on BBC 4, like Bob Ross' Joy of Painting.
Yeah.
So many years after the Bear's death, they will still be turning on to the Bear Does Tech.
Bruce Fox joins us from the Communist Enclave of Hong Kong.
Oof. Excellent.
Nice to have you with us.
Yeah.
I've seen drone shots of actual land mass now rather than water, which is a change for the... maybe it's been a change in the director's seat. Jack Leach now to bowl in tandem with James Anderson, nervously twiddling the ball, looking for the perfect grip on the seam as he's in now to Chandimal, who just pushes that out into the offside. Wants a cheeky one, Matthews says. Absolutely not on your Nelly, Chief.
Well, I know that Leach didn't bowl a great deal in that second session. He only bowled the 4 overs towards the as we built up towards tea. But I think this is the wrong move. I would have gone for Mark Wood straight after tea, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
As in again now, and they've basically said before that we'll have one there next time, and the next ball exactly the same, but they do come through for a quick single.
Well,
Can I just do a mic test?
Go on then. It sounds
That's all
fine.
right.
You're sounding fine.
I fiddled.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, Mark Wood hasn't really looked like taking wickets, but he has hurried the batsman a few times.
Yeah.
And he's clocked Chandimal a couple of times on the thumb and on the head. I just think it's a chance to catch them cold after a break.
That's too short and wide from Jack Leach, and that's cut out to the deep point boundary. I think that looked like the fridge. I think he's changed from his sun hat to his cap, which makes him easier to spot with that great dark beard of his, and they come through for 1.
Yeah, well, if you're going to bowl like that, that makes the point even more strongly.
Exactly. As Leach in again now. Short of cricket, I think we can all accept that, and he's probably just trying to feel his way back into it. That one's just blocked out to short, straight cover by Dinesh Chandimal. Fair to say they're getting through they're going to get through their overs quite quickly. There's been a lot of dot balls in the time I've been on comms today, and there is another one just blocked out to Zach Crawley
Yeah, sorry, they've got a bit of ground to make up, haven't they? They're well behind the rate. They've got 36 overs to go tonight, or 35 after this one.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They are way behind, aren't they? Was it 17 an hour now expected as Leach in? That's more half volleyage. Zach Crawley just seemed to fall on that rather than actually try and field it.
No, technically it's 15, isn't it? It's 15 an hour.
15 now, is it? Okay.
Yeah, because if you're talking about 90 hours,
of course, 6 hours. Yeah,
6 hours. So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think it's just unless Wood is suffering from the effects of the heat, and I know Mark Butcher at T was saying how hot it is out there. I would have given him a little blast, 2 or 3 overs at the start of this session, just to see if he could catch them cold.
He did look like he was getting it to reverse a bit before tee, when Nestlers and I were on with Tony. Bowling very full, but he's clocking some decent wheels as well, bowling it up at 144, 145. So
he looked a bit knackered towards the end.
Well, he went off, didn't he? Straight after one of his spells, he was seen with a sort of ice around his neck and had disappeared. It was disappearing up the steps. So that might suggest that he's suffering from the effects of the heat. But if he isn't, I think it's a mistake not to have got him on immediately after tee. Mind you, that ball looks pretty ragged now, doesn't it?
Yeah, looks like Jimmy's holding the shiny side on the left hand side, so maybe trying to get it to reverse. Yeah, it looks like it does slightly reverse as Matthews leaves that one to go through to Josh Butler.
Well, Farong says he would have gone for Curran, left arm.
Well, yeah, I understand, but we kind of he bowled well, I think, in the first session, not so well in the second session, where he decided to go round the wicket. Which was not a bad move. It's worth having a look, but I certainly think that if it's not really doing anything for you, you go back to that position where you think you can get more swing.
Is Curran a slightly more defensive option? Do you think Root's now trying to look for a couple of wickets in this final session? As Anderson's in again now, left alone by Matthews outside the off stump.
Well, I think it'll be concerning that no one's got a wicket apart from Anderson. And hasn't, I mean, apart from Sam Curran with that appeal in the first over, I think it was, which probably should have been given out. He hasn't really done that much with the ball. Anderson's managed to get it to seam a little bit, and the occasional bit of swing. But Sammy Curran in that first spell was swinging it a bit, but there seemed to be nothing for him in the afternoon session.
After that,
It's tricky. England have just got to try and make them grind, I think. They've got to play ugly cricket to a certain extent.
Yeah. Is Anderson in now, and that's played slightly away from his body by Angelo Matthews, but just blocked up to mid-off, and there will be no run.
Apart from the 3 wickets, has there been any danger for?
Well, I don't. Not a great deal. I mean, I'd say apart from that very close LBW that Curran had this morning, I can't really think of. There haven't been any chances that have gone to hand, have there? There haven't been a lot of playing and missing. No. It's just it looks like a pretty good wicket for batting on at the moment.
Yeah, I think England would be silly and ill-advised to almost be happy to play for a draw as well. That could see them, potentially put themselves in a bit of trouble. As again, Anderson bowls it outside the off stump and left alone by Angelo Matthews. Those clouds starting to build a touch, Hendo, and beginning to look a little bit naughty, like there might be a bit of rain in there.
Yeah, it's certainly very much like we had in a couple of days during the first test. That really has come in. I don't know where it's come in from, off the sea, but the sea seems to surround the ground to a certain extent. Yeah, I mean, with the humidity, you would hope that there'd be a bit of swing out there, wouldn't you? A bit more swing, perhaps.
Yeah, especially if they're complaining about it being hot, as that's just worked into the offside, picked up by Don Best, but they will come through for a quick single. With 1 ball left in the 56th over. My dog has just decided that his chewy, squeaky ball is the perfect thing to bring to my attention whilst trying to do ball-by-ball commentary. So I'm trying to yank it out of his mouth as we speak.
Well, we've had Tony's cat on this morning, Suki.
Oh, right. Okay.
Nestlers, have you got your neighbour's cat in today?
Well, she was on earlier.
Oh, was she? I missed her.
She was. She's outside somewhere at the moment, I think.
Okay.
She's probably outside the door, staring at the door, waiting for me to open it.
If you'd let her in, yeah. Anderson in now to complete his 12th, and that's blocked into The onside, I say well fielded. You'd do well to misfield that. It was going so slowly, but that completes the 56. Sri Lanka 15843.
Aidan is with us. There's interesting chat about Ace's programme. Such good news and enthusiasm. I've lived in the Black Country, London and South Yorkshire, and participation in cricket in cities isn't what it used to be. Caribbean and Asian communities so important for city clubs. Mezzy Jez is telling us that Alex Howes 102 from 51 deliveries for the Thunders versus the Sixers. Thunders 197 for 3 from 17.4 overs.
That's the Sydney derby, is it not?
Yes,
Sydney
it is.
Thunder
Yeah.
be the Sydney Sixers.
Yeah. They're both playing ridiculously awful coloured kit as well. One's in like this horrible lime sick green, and the other one's in this fuchsia pink. The Hales thing, we had a chat on the Slugging It podcast about that. I just can't see him, regardless of how well he plays, getting back into the England setup while Owen Morgan's in charge. I just don't think he likes him.
Doesn't seem like it.
And as that's first ball from Leach, just pushed out to short cover by Angelo Matthews. I just think that he doesn't fit into the England captain's preferred kind of style of cricketer or celebrity, if you like, and I just can't see him, no matter how well he's playing, getting another go while Owen Morgan's in charge. I may be proven wrong, but that's blocked out into off the back foot by Angelo Matthews, but there is no run.
But it's worked for Morgan.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. I mean, fair enough, but I mean,
can't criticise. It's hard to criticise Owen Morgan, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. As that's picked up and worked over a wide mid on, and it has gone for one of these.
Regarding Owen Morgan, I mean, but Owen Morgan, he's always going to lead England into the World T20. Is he going to do another World Cup, 50 over World Cup? I'm not sure. So you might be looking at a new ODI captain within 2 years from here.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't know how old Hales is now.
Hales?
Yeah, was he
probably about 30? Yeah, probably.
So he's got time left potentially. He's leeching now to Angelo Matthews. That's worked through that gap at square cover out to the fridge. They come through for one, and harmlessly enough. I mean, this is where we need Leach to be bowling maiden after maiden after maiden after maiden. Yeah. You know, allowing them to rotate strike like this, they'll be quite happy.
But then you have to wonder: who's setting the field? Is this Jack Leach's field, or is it heavily influenced by Joe Root? I mean, who's having the final say on this field?
As you'd say, the captain always has absolute final say. I think that the Sky commentators have previously said about this deep point fielder. I mean, look, that's been picked up and fielded, extra cover to stop the single, but 2 yards to the left of where that's gone, and it's an easy one. Like, create the pressure. If he bowls a bad ball and it goes for a boundary, fine, but try and force them into a bit of a mistake. It's quite negative.
Yeah.
As that's much better pitch on middle and leg and turned onto off stump, but blocked comfortably enough by Chandimal. I think at times Root's captaincy kind of goes in peaks and troughs. I think sometimes he's brilliantly aggressive, but other times he's unbelievably negative.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered it before. He doesn't quite know how to use these guys, especially when they're not bowling that well.
Yeah,
and that's when the captain has to seize the game to a certain extent by the scruff of the neck and say, well, this is the approach we're going to have. We're going to say to them, if you want to get boundaries, if you want to get runs, you've got to go through us or over us.
Yeah,
and we're not doing that. We've had people back at long off and long on, easy singles to full balls that aren't turning. You've got to try and create something when nothing's happening, and nothing is happening at the moment.
I think the way I'm seeing this, I may be completely wrong, but the Sri Lankans look quite comfortable. They're not really looking to go after anything. I think they're saying to themselves, if we can bat for 2 days here on what is pretty flat and it's only going to turn more and more, we're giving ourselves a chance to bowl England out twice on a wicket that's only going to get drier and start taking more spin. So I think they're probably going to try and set themselves up for a one innings test match here, the Sri Lankans, which sounds stupid. Why wouldn't everybody do that at all times? But I think in subcontinental conditions, it's probably more prevalent. As they do come through for a quick single that's worked through square leg there. Don Bess looking slightly disappointed, but the single was allowed to happen. Bringing Dinesh Chandimal on strike, who is quickly approaching 50, I think, isn't he? Matthews is on 70, 71 maybe now. Chandimal 43 from 90. So Bess going at less than threes, but I mean that again short, and worked her way through a packed leg side field.
Yeah. That's the embarrassment of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he has got that pack, but the exact place where he hasn't got
There's no
someone,
fucking mid-wicket.
and there's no pressure on there at all, is there?
The Bear just said something muffled. I'm not entirely sure what that was.
Probably should be muffled at all times.
Yeah.
Muzzled.
And that's what he thinks of that.
Muzzled as well, yeah.
Yeah, Matthews, both of these guys looking comfortable. Obviously, the two most experienced players in the Sri Lankan lineup. As Bess in again now, better line, slightly flatter, slightly quicker. Does that silly kind of, cross arms over his head thing. Maybe he's doing the Moose Cup. Maybe that's what that is. He's doing the Moose Cup every time. He thinks that he's bowled a good ball and not gotten the wicket for it. Matthews 71 from 141, striking at about 50-ish. Chandimal's similar, 44 from 91. That's a dreadful delivery. So bad that Matthews had just looked at it and gone, I'm not even going to attempt to hit that filth down the leg side, Dominic. Gets away with the dot. I mean, they're the balls that you think you should be trying to wallop for 4 plus man at 45 on the one. Better line outside off stump from Bess there, but blocked back up the pitch by Matthews. These two you'd think would be so comfortable playing average spin in these kind of conditions, Hendo.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about them just trying to bat for one innings. Let me come back to that after this ball.
Oh, absolute filth. As that's worked away to Johnny Bairstow, coming from a wide long on / cow, but Angelo Matthews calmly punches it through and takes a one as Bess completes his 16th non for 43.
I think what is also worrying for England is that the easier it is to bat at the moment, and the longer they can bat. I mean, if they can bat till tea or just after tea tomorrow, they're going to have 500 odd on the board. And you've used up time. You've given the pitch a little bit more time to deteriorate. And if we are talking about the fact that it will spin after the second day, that's when England are going to be starting their reply, more or less, and that puts them in a more difficult position. Yeah,
I think we know in Sri Lankan conditions, it's not unsurprisingly it is going to take more spin. That left-hander whose name I'm not going to try and pronounce until I absolutely have to when he's bowling, probably on Sunday. Embaldinier,
I think we're calling him now. Yeah.
He looks like a decent bowler. I mean, how he's going to bowl at Lords on a wet Wednesday in May, whenever that happens, God knows. But in home conditions, he looks like a real handful.
Will he be any good away at Stoke on a Wednesday evening?
Wednesday night? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know what the main cricket ground of Stoke is, to be honest. But is there a Stoke cricket club? There probably is.
I'd imagine so. I mean, the Staffs League used to have some brilliant players. A lot of West Indians back in the 70s, my father reliably tells me. He used to watch some of the greats go and play club cricket down there in the Staffs League.
Well, it looks like Ruta switched Jimmy Anderson's end.
Yeah.
And bringing him back into the attack.
Wind's getting up.
Yeah, I think
Barong is wondering where the egrets are.
Yeah,
I think they know. I think they know what's coming. I think they know that Hell's Fury is about to open from the skies, and so they're just gone underground for the evening. Anderson now maybe changing around to bowl with the wind. Maybe that's why they showed the flags. But in now to Angelo Matthews, who slightly squares himself up, but blocks it well easily enough into the offside. It just goes to show the true class of Jimmy, doesn't it? We were talking about all of these, milestone wickets earlier on. We didn't get through them all with Tony at that point, but he just knows where to bowl in any kind of given conditions. You'd say that Australia is probably the one place that he's never really. He's neither been economical nor gotten that many wickets. Whereas even here, he's doing a great job. He's in again now. Second ball of his over. Worked away off the back foot by Matthews, but with a tightly packed ring. In the offside ring, that is, for anybody who's with a filthy disposition. And there will be no run.
We've had a mention on the Crick Info ball by ball site.
Oh,
that's good. That's good.
Well, Knackle did, but of Guerrilla Cricket fame, it says.
Okay.
That was from Miller Cricket.
Nice.
Surely good. I think there's a mention of us in the Wisden, the new Wisden that's coming out. Not the Almanac, the Wisden magazine.
Oh, wow.
It's coming out.
There's Anderson in again. Oh, flamboyantly played off the back foot by Matthews, but brilliantly fielded by Sam Dan Lawrence. It's his new name for anybody that's worrying. Is Sam Dan Lawrence. I only saw the 8 on his number, so guessed incorrectly. It won't be the last time. But yeah, it stops the single. Matthews staying on 72. Partnership 90 from 193. Watchful, but responsible.
Talking about spin, would it be worth Root having a go himself? Just to,
yeah.
You know, he got a 4-for in South Africa, didn't he, last winter? Because not spin out there, but there's something about Root when he bowls. He does manage to. I don't know whether he sort of the eyes light up at the other end, but he does have an effect sometimes.
Matthews times that really nicely, but Jack Leach, crones and all, kind of flies round from mid-on diving stop to stop the single. Jimmy will be happy with that, but as always, Jimmy doesn't look happy with anything. I think Root probably should give himself a go. I think he probably does underuse himself at times. He bowls probably slightly quicker than the other two, slightly flatter. So on a flatter wicket, that might be a benefit, as Matthews leaves that alone through to Joss Butler, no run.
He's also got that little leggy that he bowls from the fingers rather than from the wrist, just for a little bit of variation. And I think he's one of those bowlers. It reminds me a bit of someone like Sachin Tendulkar coming on to bowl. They're so different, and they're willing to try things.
Yeah.
And sometimes they make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just now wrestling with a dog who's now got his duck. He's got a rubber duck that makes a quacking noise. He's absolute carnage. As Anderson, seems to reverse a little bit, probably targeting Matthews' front pad, looking for the LBW, but safely enough negotiated by Angelo Matthews. 166 for 3 from 59.
I'll relieve you from your dog travails with
thank you.
A tweet from Brian001. He says, morning from sunny Northampton, a day off today and getting into the baking while listening to Sri Lanka doing well. Butter cake and breakfast muffins underway. Hope they get a better outcome than Australia did against India. And our very own Knackle talks about Dom Bess and about that deep point fielder. He likes it because it encourages him to bowl offside off stump and finds that it generates wicket chances for him because it cuts off a boundary option and frustrates batters.
Well, that's true to a certain extent. I mean, we've had it a lot with Adil Rashid having a man to stop the boundary.
As Bess in, that's probably a better line for the off spinner. Pitching probably 6th stump. Looking to attack that off-stump line, but well enough. Negotiated by Dinesh Chandimal, and there will be no run. Can you hear it, Hando? Can you hear
I can,
yes. I'm so sorry. Chandimal kind of fake charges Dom Bess. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill the dog. Stop it. And there will be no run as Dom Bess threatens to throw the ball back at him, but refrains from doing so. Bess in now, third ball of the over, and there's another charge by Chandimal. There's a hand gotten onto it by Sam Curran, almost deflected down. That looks like Jimmy. Yes, it is. Runs around from long on, picks it up. There will be one run.
George Pope is with us on YouTube.
Hello,
and Stephen Kelk.
Good to have you along. Did we see that Hales has got 110 and his team has the highest BBL score in history, I believe? 232.
Oh, crikey. As Bess in again now, and that's comfortably blocked back up the pitch by Dinesh Chandimal for no run.
We should have a change at the end of this over. It will be Tony coming on. Nestlers is staying, and Jono is. Oh no, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong list. Who's coming on next? Someone.
Bear, Messers, and Tony.
Okay.
As best in again, and they do run that quick single. As Mark Wood comes round from back to the point. Finbar. Seriously.
Okay. Well, I shall be hopping off for a little while. Back later. And you will be led through the next half an hour. Is it the bear? Is it the bear doing ball by ball?
The bear will be doing ball by ball.
Thumbs up from him. Thumbs up from him.
Just before that happens, Don Best in for the final ball of the over, and that is cut away off the back foot by Angelo Matthews. Is it racing to the boundary? That is well timed off the back foot, and it brings him one of these.
Time for a change. Well, it's same old stuff, isn't it, really? I mean, England's spinners aren't bowling particularly well. What I would say about this is that everyone knows subcontinental wickets are often flat, and you've got to hang in there because you can't expect to, in England you can't expect to take wickets all the time because the ball's constantly doing stuff. You've got to juke. It's generally, Broad and Anderson skittling through batsmen all the time, but in these kinds of conditions you've got to accept that you've got to sit in at times, and you've got to take the opportunities when they come. They're not going to come particularly often a lot of the time, but having said that, spinners in order to sit in, your spinners have got to contain the flow of runs if they're not taking wickets, and ours just aren't. And the fields. I wouldn't want to be bowling to these fields. Chandimal is in and is defended into the offside, and there's no run. And the reason I got Nestlers to go to YouTube is George Pope is kind of on the same tip. He's talking about Denny's leggies would be useful. I don't know about that, but he also says what some bowlers need is a set field to bowl to. Keep changing it makes it tough to know what your plan is. That's very true. Spin bowling is all about rhythm, and it's counterintuitive, and that was my point earlier. He also says he'll never forget Cookie strangling Ishan down the leg side, but that's a different story. Anderson is coming in, the only wicket taker for England, 3 for 15, and Chandimal just defends into the offside and there's no run. And if I was Best, I want an umbrella field on the offside. I don't mind the guy out on the cover boundary, actually. It does stop the 4, and it does encourage you to bowl that line outside the off stump. It's not necessarily for taking wickets, but at least gives you the confidence that if you get it slightly wrong, you should be covered most of the time. And it'll only be a single rather than a 4. But I would still have an umbrella on my offside. I'd have a point and I'd have a cover and I'd have a wide-ish mid-off, and he'd be up. And if I could possibly squeeze one more in there, I might even have a cover and an extra cover. And just bowl it out there and make them pierce the field as that's defended out to cover and there's no run. But what he does do often, and this is it, whether it's Root or him setting the fields, often there's a gap. Either if he's bowling straight, there's a gap at mid-wicket, which is the obvious place to play it through. It's turning into the body, you're bowling out the stumps. The angle takes it through the mid-wicket. I talk about this so often. And that gap, they've got a guy at square leg and they've got a guy at mid-on, but there's no one at the obvious place, which is the mid-wicket. A lot of times there's a gap, and sometimes they plug it after it's gone through there, the ball before, which is also massively infuriating, as that one's defended up towards mid-off and there is no run. And the same on the offside.
Deja vu. Do you, Bish?
Yeah.
In what capacity, Messrs?
The mid-wicket round.
Oh yes, yeah, I've been there before. No, I was mildly distracted because we've reached the point in the day where the sun comes in through the window at me. Are you going to get a godlike halo effect? Wind-up poster things that she uses for her conferences. She was bringing that in, but I could see things flying everywhere as she was doing it. So the props department was thoughtful but a little clumsy. Let's put it that way.
Defended by Chandimal down towards mid-wicket. See, bloody Jimmy's got a mid-wicket, but the spinners don't. Strange.
Yeah.
You're going to get. We're not going to have the halo effect today, then. You in the shining light of.
No. Because I have this fantastic light protection device or deflection device or whatever it is. It's actually a women educator poster, but it's about like 7 foot tall.
And what's on the poster?
Well, I can send you a picture if you like, and then you'll know precisely how I'm achieving
your status. Defended out into the offside, and Jimmy has a cover too. There you go, no run.
So Martin Lawrence says two things: Bangladesh 39 for 1, chasing 148. Also, who's your favourite Sri Lankan all-time favourite cricketer?
Angelo Matthews.
Kumar Sangakkara for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
okay,
so if you go back there, Jar Ward and Kumar Sangakkara will be top like this. I've always loved Angelo Matthews. It's partly because he got a bit of stick from the Sri Lankans and he's had a bit of a rough time with them, but he's a class player.
I think it's so good actually to see him coming back. It's interesting. I think the second innings in the first test was such a turnaround after the shattering defeat they had in South Africa and that dreadful first innings. It gave them a chance just to catch their breath, and now they're showing that they're actually capable of believing in themselves.
Well, I mean, these two are the two best batsmen in their side. And they are 173 for 3. I mean, everyone talks like they're going to get 500, but if you can get through these two at some point, if there's some rain later today and you get another chance tomorrow, and the new ball's due in 19 overs, you've got to think that you can, if you can keep them down to 300, 350, there's no reason why England got 430 in their first innings last time round. Yeah. They've got to believe. I mean, okay, Root got a double ton and no one else did much, but they did actually. That's not true, but there's. You can't be so defeatist about it. It's the same track. It's still going to be slow turn. It's defended out in the offside and there's no run. Sri Lanka's spinners to England, were much the same. They offered a lot that batsmen could go back to. Root was proactive on the sweep.
I actually think this is an easier batting track than the first.
Well, I think so as well. There's certainly not as much turn yet, is there? Outside half of the bat doesn't beat... who's that? Woody. He's back on the pitch. And he's at backward point. So, we're acting like England can't bat. They can. So, it's a pretty decent batsman in England's side too. So,
apart from Sibley.
Sibley has struggled, and Crawley didn't get anything in the last game. Played back to the bowler by Matthews, who has a smile on his face. He's looking happy. And there's no run. So, I wouldn't worry if I was England. At exactly that point, you've got to accept that at times the game isn't always going to be going in your favour. I mean, that's what Test cricket's about. It's about when you get that breakthrough, pushing on from it when it comes. That's two-leg sidey, and there's no fucking mid-wicket. And it's going to be a single. I mean...
we should just record that one. You can push a button for it there.
It's just so frustrating.
You need Gary espousing the values of a good number 8 next to it.
Exactly. I mean,
one to the other.
Exactly. I do sound a bit like Gary in his number 8 theory, but I think mine's a better theory than his, to be honest. His number 8 theory is absolute nonsense. Has been now that's a decent ball. It's turned a fraction enough, and Chandimal comes forward just outside the line of off stump. Played at it, beat his outside edge. Butler took it. No puff of dust. I mean, one thing you had to...
did turn.
It did turn, but the one thing you notice on this pitch, on day one on the other one, there was explosions out of the pitch. That turned, but there was nothing out of the pitch there. And the pitch looks pretty solid at the moment. Defended by Chandimal, no run.
Am I right in thinking that is the first ball that Leach has bowled that it's actually beaten the batsman?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's the line, that's the length. Gary's number 8 theory was, his David Hussey theory is absolute nonsense. And has been proven to be the case.
Grand Theft Auto says, I hear Jono dissing the Sixers' fuchsia pink kits. This is the cross I will die on. The fuchsia pink kits and shiny black leather pads are utterly fabulous. Well, takes all sorts. It's not for me, I got to tell you. Knackle says, do you get the sense that Don Bess has the confidence to overrule Joe Root and set his own fields and lines?
No.
On current evidence, I'm not so sure. I don't think so either. Pitched Up Cricket, in response to Knackle, says he and Adil Rashid could form a Joe Root spinners support group.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, this is why Rooty sometimes brings himself on. I think he thinks he can do a better job. Jimmy gets that one to come in a shade. Matthew drives. There's an on Hayden, which I think is Sam Curran, who fields that, and there's no run. 174 for 3. Chandimal 47, still hasn't got his 50. Matthews has moved on to 77. Is he going to get a ton today? He's bound to. He's playing England.
It is a concern for England that you've got your 38-year-old seamer on a subcontinental wicket, and he's taken the only 3 wickets to fall fairly deep into the evening session.
Yeah, I go back to this tone. I think, whilst you will want 1 or 2 more, when the one comes, you've got to take that chance. These are the 2 best batsmen, and they did win the toss, and they decided to bat on what they knew would be a flat track. And the importance of winning the toss is pretty important out in the subcontinent. That's down the leg side, and there's no run. Although Inindo did say that on our WhatsApp a few days ago, that, India are going to win 5-0 against, or 4-0 against England. And I said, I agree. And he said,
it'll be a thumping, a 5-0 and a 4-0 series.
And he said, and I went, and he said it might depend on the toss. And I went back to him and said, well, no, England won the test. We won the toss 4 times out of 5 last time we were there, and we still lost 4-0. We kept knocking up 450, and they get 700 or something. Oh dear! Defended back down the track, and Sam Curran playfully tries to take it. I don't know if he let it through on purpose to mid-on or not, but it gets to mid-on. There's no run.
Well, one of the things that struck me is it's a shame this is only a 2-test series. I think now that Sri Lanka have got a bit of confidence in themselves, the 3-test series would have become really interesting.
You say that. I mean, I was looking back over the series records of Sri Lanka and England, and an awful lot were just 1-match series for the first 10, I think.
Well, that was when they were first allowed into the test bubble, wasn't it? Down the leg side now. I don't know if that was pad or bat. It was aimed on the leg stump and just didn't get enough on it to beat Buttler down the leg side and made a good stop. No run.
That's something you don't often hear.
Yeah, true. But I mean, if Jimmy bowls this next ball for no runs, he'd have 15 overs, 3 for 15.
Which is phenomenal, isn't it?
Which is like Broad did in the last. If you're going to use, if the wickets are going to be more seamer friendly in India, we've certainly got 2 guys that can make use of it, and I don't think that they won't be bowled together possibly at a time if the wicket deserves it. Defended into the offside, out to cover, and there's no run.
Farong says we did have a spectator from the animal kingdom earlier at Mirpur, and he sends us a picture of a cat on the outfield for the West Indies during the West Indies innings.
I'm glad to say my cat has just shifted herself off the table, so I can now re-access my notes again.
Oh, that's good.
She's probably protective of our listeners, going, they don't need this kind of detail.
Yeah.
Just, I'm going to stick my arse here and stop.
I'm wondering how old Jono's dog is. It seems quite active. Jimmy, and that definitely came tailed in and just about beats mid off. He gets across, gets a paw on it. It's Woody, but can't stop it completely. It travels 10 yards past him, and I'll get through for the single. And that ends the over. Matthews will retain the strike on 78, and Sri Lanka 175 for 3. Messers.
So Tony sent us a copy of the banner he spoke of, and that's been retweeted from the Gorilla Cricket account. Martin Lawrence says, Annie is my favourite. We know that, Martin. It's a love affair from afar.
Has he ever mentioned that?
No.
Do you know what? It's just as well he did, because I might never have known.
Jay Grover says, I'd like a GC Bingo t-shirt. I'm dumb enough to buy it. I actually reckon we should do a GC Bingo card to be sent out with every single GC purchase there.
Oh, wow. What would it have? No fucking mid-wicket would be one, wouldn't it? And I'd get it every time.
Yeah, that's true. There's a whole lot. Actually, I've got a bingo somewhere. I'll put it up. Grand Theft Auto says all-time favourite Sri Lanka player has to be Murali.
It's too obvious. The defended back down the track. Decent ball by Leach and no run. Clouds are coming in. I wonder if we're going to get rain and thunderstorms. We've only got an hour or so left, haven't we?
Yeah, the forecast was for it to be about 50% chance of rain from now on.
Too short and bunted out through the offside. 2 extra cover. Is the fielder going to get around? That's a great bit of fielding by Bess out there. Picked it up on the slide and threw it back in one-handed.
I don't think either side would thank you for rain right now. I'll tell you for why.
Yeah.
I mean, Sri Lanka, because the partnership's going very nicely. England, I think, providing there was not too much score damage, would be more than happy to rattle through these 20 or so overs, 18 overs, whatever it is.
Get the new ball.
and get to the new ball, which would still be fresh for the morning, rather than have 20 overs with the old ball in the morning.
Well, quite possibly. That's defended back down the track.
I think Jimmy would like to reach 79 overs tonight so he can take the new ball in the morning and get a bit of freshening up before then.
Yeah.
He's looking for 604 already. We never did. I was very disappointed in the people's response going through his landmark wickets. I'm going to give you a few more.
Too
just for
short
fun
again. Same result, out to
go
the same
through this.
place, but this time Bess is straighter out there on the fence, and there'll only be one.
100 partnership. You've got to hand it to these two. They've done an absolutely first-rate job.
Yep, they have, and they did so in. They steadied the ship in the first innings last time round as well, before the collapso that happened. They are the best two batsmen in the side, aren't they?
Undoubtedly.
Leach tosses that one up, but it's leg side this time. Gets clipped to square leg where the fridge, Sibley. Why? Well, are we calling Sibley the fridge? And
it's because he's a big unit,
well,
big solid, unit. And in white. I think.
Okay.
The only thing I'm only assuming that might.
He's got a very odd posture. He's got a very odd posture as well, isn't he? His kind of shoulders are back and his chest is out.
Whether he's full of frozen goods as well, I don't know.
Oh, there's an appeal there. He's gone back to force it through the offside, and he's missed it. It's half-hearted by Butler at best.
Well, I think the smile on Butler's face tells you everything about how much he actually thought. Although they're thinking about a review. Look, there's the think tank is
Butler's
in
got to be the man who knows whether he's.
And Butler just walked past Root and just shook his head and said, "Forget it." So there it was, forgotten.
Well, so Farong says he's just on the big trash bash. Need to find the boundary a few times each over. Righto, the Sixers need 233 to win with Philippi and Vince in the middle. That's 12 overs from the start.
Vince,
That's a big
you got
pass.
no bloody hope. No hope. Vince, Jesus. What are they just starting their innings?
Yeah, they're 15 for no wicket off 8 balls.
Okay, I reckon 6 overs gone, 4 wickets down, game lost. That's my prediction.
That's what happens against the big score.
Absolutely.
Knackle says an honourable mention for Dilshan, but what Miraley did with all that crap he had to put up with is unbelievable, and he was such fun to watch. My favourite Miraley stat is that after Channel 4 did a documentary showing all of his variations in close-up, his test average went down.
Yeah, they all studied it. Right, well, we are going to change. Anderson is off. And we are going to go to who Hendo thought should have been on straight after tea. It's this man.
Do you know Mark Wood? Yes, he is an England bowler, quite good and pretty quick. So just a normal guy. Of course, except for just one thing. What? He thinks that he's a horse. Right. What?
I think they put Anderson on straight away so that he'd get a decent rest before the new ball was due.
Nah, there was no edge on that ball. They just showed us an alter edge of the previous appeal. Chandimal clips the first ball of Wood's new spell up to mid-on, and there is no run. I mean,
Jay Grover says, finally Tony gets a good sub-editor. I'm not sure what that's on.
Is it because I've got my Women Ed poster up? Maybe that was
maybe.
That could be the link there, I guess.
And Mog has sent a picture of one of his cats for Hinder.
Looks suitably aggressive, that cat, if it is one of Mog's, doesn't it? It looks like it's about to pounce on some poor unsuspecting creature. Hopefully not Hendo.
Does it have a collar with knives on it or something?
That's what most cats do most of the time.
Yeah, that's their job. Short and into the ribs of Chandimal. He just plays it out square on the leg side and so on. I'll never forget when I was in Western Australia near Perth. We went to an outback zoo and they had a couple of cats in a cage. It was like, what? They were wild cats. But they
feral
were
cats, were they?
Yeah, they were just feral cats, exactly that.
Yeah. Oh, we got hundreds of thousands of feral cats. They're a real problem.
Well, yeah, they were introduced by us, weren't they, when we came over?
Yeah.
Like most things. Went around killing all the local wildlife. But at a field day when they first arrived, none of the animals knew what they were. That's defended up to mid-off, and there is a no run. 179 for 3.
And Martin Lawrence says he's seen that Murley documentary. He had no idea about that stat. And Chewy Andrews says, I'm watching the test on YouTube and listen to you on TuneIn. I wasn't able to find it on YouTube before. I still can't. Maybe you could tweet us the link so that we can pass that on for people who want to watch it.
And sync up to their hot mics.
Sorry?
And they can sync it up to hot mic.
Exactly.
Broadwood is in again. Shortish, back of a length, and Chandimal just closes the face, plays it out to vacant mid-wicket, and there's no run. There's one run, sorry. And that brings on to 180. I think England can get a couple of wickets before they get to 230. Be nice. And they can keep them under 330, 350. They won't be out of the game. I mean, things will accelerate quickly, I'd imagine, in the second innings of this. Days 3, 4 and 5. As the wicket starts to deteriorate, it'll get a lot harder to bat.
I think that's true.
That tails in a little bit. Length ball though, and Matthews plays up to mid-on. There's no run. I mean, it's kind of important just to get an first innings lead of some description. If you can.
If a pitch is going to break up, there's no reason to assume this one won't, and will take turn. The longer you bat in the first innings, the tougher you make it for the team that hasn't enjoyed the flatter track on day one, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely that.
So Sri Lanka are operating precisely to, if you win the toss, they'll be thrilled to bits. What they will be really cautious about is not losing one of these two before the close, and then they will consider themselves to be in excellent position.
Indeed. Another one that tails in, and again it's gone to Bairstow, who's at mid-wicket, and there's a no run.
It occurs to me, I haven't seen CricViz doing any figures on this test, but the number of plays and misses is probably lower today than I can recall seeing in a day's test cricket for a very long time.
Well, we said that early on. We were saying, when I was on my first ball-by-ball stint, I thought I've hardly mentioned Jos Buttler's name.
Yeah, I mean, it's
because he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't getting anything to do.
It's a very passive pitch.
He was not doing it really well.
That's Sri Lanka at 49%, England at 34%, and 70% the draw. Does our friends at WinViz?
All right.
I don't like WinViz.
And Leah says her favourite Sri Lankan player of all time has to be Sangakkara. Excellent batting and chirping, acceptable keeping, true triple threat.
And a really nice man off the pitch as well.
Yeah.
A little bit too short again by Leach outside the off stump. Cut behind square this time. Bess is out there. They'll probably get back for two. They do indeed.
4 in a row away England have won, which hasn't been done since the days of Percy Chapman.
What, 4 tests in a row?
4 consecutive away test wins has not been done since the days of the.
Well, there you go.
Percy Chapman, a man whose life and career sort of.
I presume that
went
takes
from highs very rapidly to very sad lows, but that was the peak of his career. 4 away test wins on the trot.
I presume that was the end
captain.
That was South Africa going into this, isn't it? That's how far it's been apart. We got a jingle for
his were all against Australia though in the case of Percy Chapman.
Straight a ball by Leach, defender back up the track. There's no run. Let's have this jingle for Chandimal.
50 runs, you're 50 runs. Well done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs, you're 50 runs. The job is on.
Next ball was just defended out to the short extra cover, and there's no run. Occasionally he bowls 4 or 5 balls that are okay, Leach, but it's the one that lets them off the hook. That's really annoying. Anyway, he's around the wicket, and that's tossed up very full. Well plucked out of the air on the bounce by the man short cover.
You are right there, of course. Yeah, routes 3 in South Africa and 1 in Sri Lanka. Percy Chapman's all came between November 28th and February 29 in Australia.
So if England win this, it'll be the first time since 1912 that they've won 5 in a row.
Away, that is. Defended.
Away, yes.
And there's no run. And in those days, I bet those 12 tests, 5 tests, were they all in one series, maybe in Ashes or something?
I'm not sure.
Would have been a long time between tests in those days, away series anyway.
Yeah.
That's defended, back down the track to end the over, and that was not a bad over, only 2 runs off it.
So Brian 001 wonders whether England will keep picking Jimmy until the day passes, just to keep the bowling record in England.
As he trots in, looking for his 2000th Test wicket.
Well, in England, we've got good replacements. I mean, you think Wokes is still there. Who else? We've got Archer now. Broad will carry on for a bit. Sammy Curran is bowls okay. In English conditions, I think we've got pretty decent bowling stocks. And then you've got some others like Ollie Stone and stuff who all got a chance eventually. So that doesn't seem so bad.
Arthur has a good comment on Vince. He says holding out on the covers for 25 pretty runs is not frowned on so much in the BBL.
Well, that's true. 25 is nearly a 30, which is what they measure it by, I suppose.
Yeah. I can tell you that Philippi and Vince have taken the score to 35 off 3 overs.
Ooh, well.
But there's a long way to go. They still need another 200.
Where's that being played? Is that Adelaide, Messrs?
Yeah, Adelaide Oval. Yeah. So they've got nice short square boundaries.
So a lot of cross-batted hoiks.
Yeah.
The joy of T20 cricket. That's a filthy delivery by Wood. Full bunger, down leg side. Matthews just gets a little bit of bat on it, helps it down to the fine leg boundary and gets himself 4 runs.
It's Nissan she. It's Nissan she.
That wasn't such a good ball. 186 for 3. Kind of need a wicket.
And Nick Martin's biggest Sri Lankan cricketers is Dilshan, who was well ahead of his time, averaged just about 40 in ODI and tests. First cricketer in the history of the game to score hundreds in all formats as a captain. Also, that facial hair.
Dilshan was a good player. I mean, Dilshan seems to me that he was the one who retired earlier than the others. Defended on the back foot, back down the track. There's no one. I don't know if he was a little bit older than the others, but he always seemed to be out of the triumvirate that was Jaya Warner, Sangakkara and Dilshan. He was the one who went first, wasn't
he? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, Jay Grover's moving into your territory, Bish. He says,
Lord.
I once went to a zoo. It only had 1 dog in it.
It was a Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I like the way you seem to have got that marked as my territory, though.
Yeah, it's a dad joke, isn't it? It's a bloody dad joke.
Well, you do have more than anybody I've ever met.
Yes.
Oh, well, there you are. Goodness knows where they all come from.
Woody, in again, straighter ball, clipped out through mid-wicket. He didn't manage to get a paw on it. Is there anyone out there? Doesn't seem to be anyone out there. There's a man behind square, has to come all the way in front of square. I think it might be Don Bess out there. And it'll be
breeze blowing as well, by the way, isn't there? If you look at the those pennants are fluttering.
So here's an opportunity. Martin Lawrence would like to understand the horse reference in the Wood jingle.
Well,
do you want to explain better? You better.
Well,
I'll hand it
Woody used to prance around in the outfield pretending he was a horse. He seems to like doing that. That was his thing.
No, there's more to it than that, isn't there, Bish?
That's, I have to say, what I thought. What beyond that?
I don't think there's much beyond that.
He'd amuse himself by pretending to have a horse when he was in the field, and then he would occasionally sort of do the old jogging manoeuvre.
Like a Monty Python character without a horse, basically. Outside the off stump, another bit of tailing in. It's hit out to extra cover. Matthews, I think there's probably a single there, but they couldn't be asked to run. The Crows are in. I presume it's towards the end of the day, and the Egrets will be somewhere else on a pitch, eyeing each other up, ready for a fight.
It's like the Sharks and the Jets,
exactly.
The Montagues and the Capulets.
Absolutely.
You've got the Crows and the Egrets, and never. I expect somewhere there's a Juliet Crow meeting a Romeo Egret secretly behind one of the sight screens.
I think on day 1 of the last test there was a crow having a go at an egret, or was it another crow? I can't remember. Someone was getting picked on, and that doesn't get up. It's bowled short, and it's going to be well fielded by Bess once more. He palms it off to whoever else is down there.
Are we geared up to play, by the way, a Patreon jingle and chat a little bit about Patreon? Otherwise, I think poor Hendo may explode.
Okay, yeah, I can do that, certainly.
Perfect.
In fact, it's still in the cart from when we were supposed to do it before. The problem with this is we don't have. When we used to have changes in the studios, people have to get up and move out the rooms. You put on a jingle for the change, but now everyone just instantly appears on Zoom and starts yapping.
I miss the theatre of all that, I must admit.
Yeah.
Oh God,
the musical chairs on the camera.
It's like the three elephants dancing sometimes in Fantasia as you people, gorillas try and move in and out of chairs.
There's a lot more cables around now, although they are in one corner.
Normally tipping over a beer, a glass of water, a cup of coffee over someone's nose. Normally mine, because I'm the only one who
There's been no water accidents or coffee accidents on the carpet since you lot haven't been here. Defended by Matthews with good timing up to mid-on though, and there is no run. Ends at over 190 for 3. Are we having a change now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to play the.
But let's if we have got a moment to do it. Let's
play the
cue up a
jingle.
Patreon jingle.
It's here.
Fantastic.
Yep. You owe us all right. You think this alternative cricket commentary stuff comes cheap? Well, we need some dollar bills to help pay our bills. So please, go to patreon.com/GorillaCricket and sign up to make a regular monthly donation. You know there is literally nothing like Gorilla Cricket's coverage, so don't be tight. Dip into your virtual pocket and throw some cash our way. See, Rihanna knows. Patreon.com/GorillaCricket.
Pay me what you want it.
Yeah, pay us what you want to do. Patreon.com. If you do that, we'll give you a T-shirt, an old World Cup T-shirt. It may be, but it's a very good T-shirt. Defended into the offside, and there's no run.
You're going to do one more over.
I'm going to do one more over because
you're gearing up like you are, so you better have.
Yeah, well, I realised that it's actually only 29 minutes past, so I'm going to get another one in. I started, so I'll finish, Tone. It's a spinner's over.
Don't get me on Magnus Magnuson. I'll start telling my Magnus Magnuson story. No one wants to hear that again.
No. Chandimal defended into the offside, and there's no run. He's on 51. Matthews is 89. 190 for 3. Nessers has joined us anyway. After all that confusion about patron jingles, there was a little bit of a change. Oh, Jono's appeared.
Hey,
can you appear at the end of the over though, Jono? Driven nicely by Chandimal, but good bit of fielding by the man at short cover, and there is no run.
Wrong is left. Reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
Oh,
who's that? What? Huh?
Beat me to it. Very good.
On the topic of fish and dad jokes.
I thought you were going to tell me that was real. That's defended up to mid-on. Then there's a bit of a misfield. There's a start of a run. Matthews didn't want to go. I think it's Jimmy who's misfielded. It's 2 misfields. You let one go for 4 earlier. He wouldn't be happy if someone did that to his bowling.
Well, I think he's going to be risk averse. A, because of the time of the day. B, because he's on 89. And C, because you don't need to take risks.
No, but there would have been
nicely on top in this game at the moment. You want to stay that way.
If he'd have picked that up cleanly, there might have been a chance. And he's very unhappy with himself because Chandimal had come halfway down.
Pick the bloody ball up.
And Angelo had not even moved out of the crease at the bowler's end. That one is too short and cut out to the cover boundary for a single. My last ball. Then Jono will be on. And he'll be on with Nestlers. And is it you staying on, Tone?
I'm taking over from you on ball by ball.
And you'll be joined by Jono and Nestlers.
Which will be around about lunchtime here.
I tell you what, there are some people. There's going to be some very nasty tweets coming in about Bear taking an extra over.
Oh, Leach in bowls, clipped into leg side. That's the end of me. Out to mid wicket. No run. Tony's taken over. Hello, Jono and Nestlers.
Well,
indeed. Hello to you both. And well, I would say if I was Mickey Arthur at the moment, I would be sitting with my shorts, covering everything they need to cover, and feeling quite content about the way my team is performing. Just now, 192 for 3. Angelo Matthews on 90, Captain Dinesh Chandimal on 52, and Jimmy Anderson has taken in 3 wickets today, but nobody else has really even looked, I'm afraid, Jono, like doing too much damage, which was a concern for England and delight for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier, the 3 of us, weren't we, about the fact that Sri Lanka will probably look to bat once until probably tea time tomorrow, get 500 on and back themselves Emboldinia, or whatever the correct pronunciation of his surname is, to try and bowl us out twice and level the series and send us to India 1-1.
Well, indeed, Mark Wood is going to be back into the attack. He's pulling the visor down on his medieval helmet, getting his lance, and preparing to charge on his imaginary horse. 116 this partnership off 250 balls. I can't say enough. It's been a tremendous effort, and still very much in progress. Wood has the one slip in place. He's in. He smears it down leg though, and Joss Butler, for once, does get himself into the game as he skips across, but takes that down. What would have been a white ball wide, but is not, of course, in this format. Our friend, the drone cameraman, has zoomed out somewhat, so we get a lovely view of the bay and the ground from a distance down, looking down on the fort. No doubt gearing up to follow the fishing fleet out for their evening catch. And what Angela Matthews is hoping for is to catch 100 here. But again, he's down leg. Whether Mark Wood has a deliberate plan here, Jono, is he trying to sort of work at the rib cage of Angelo Matthews? If so, it all looks a bit weary and not getting up enough to do it, is it?
I'm just wondering if he's trying to bowl back a length and try and, as you say, go in at the ribs and then try and slide the fuller reverse swing in Yorker. He's not looked himself though today, has he?
He hasn't. But then I'm not sure. Apart from Jimmy Anderson, any of the England attack have they've looked worryingly impotent here, as this one's just tickled to backward square. They do take a quick single.
I don't think he looks.
Oh, did they take a run
particularly
there?
fit?
I thought they did. We'll just have another look at that. No, they quickly turned back. Not at all surprisingly. Matthews thought about it. Yeah, well, off he went, and then I think Chandimal realised quite smartly, actually, that A, it was definitely his call because the ball had been tickled round the corner to backward square. B, it wasn't a run, and C, if he acted quickly, Matthews had the time to get back. So good thinking by him. This one will get something. I think it was off the bat. It's dribbling away down to long leg. They will take a single this time.
I think looking at that field, Tony, that the kind of leg side strangle is something that they're perhaps looking at with the leg slip.
Well, I think they are. And in all honesty, it's the sort of approach you take when not much else is working. Once you revert to leg theory, unless you happen to know that a particular batsman has a real weakness against short pitch bowling, then it's quite often plan D or E, isn't it?
Yes,
come off the pie, by the way. Up onto his toes this time. There was some bat on that by Angelo Matthews. Away it goes into the offside. Another easy single taken. 193 for 3. With one ball left of this Mark Wood. Bit of a mixed bag of an over. A couple of weary pushes down leg side, we think, aiming to work at the rib cage, but really not directing it too well.
It all looks a bit easy, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and do you know what? Very, very well played, Sri Lanka, on to make it look that way.
Yeah,
because they've criticisms ringing in their ears from the first test, where they did manage to pretty much lose it with that first innings. In comes Wood. Oh, and that one, big shout in front. The square on, as you like, and Chandimal, who got in a right old tangle, has been beaten for pace. The umpire has no doubt at all. The finger goes up. They are going to review it, and is being signalled by umpire Dharmasena that he's going to have a look. England are convinced they've got their man. Joss Butler is hugging Mark Wood. We all think that looked pretty much plumb in front. Absolutely salmon trout, Jono, yes?
Does that mean that I should be in line to be the next England captain because I've basically just picked the plan apart and
Ooh, now I'm looking at it again. That might,
but it'll be hitting the stumps in some form, I'd imagine.
Do you think it'll be umpire's call? There certainly didn't seem to be any inside edge. Ultra Edge has just confirmed that. It hits on the knee roll. He's quite well back with almost all of himself bar a toe behind the crease. So you would really think The only issues might be height and possibly just shading, impact in line,
hitting comfortably, wow.
outside and hitting more than comfortably, 3/4 of the way up leg, and we're going to have a wicket jingle, and England will be very relieved to hear that.
So get on your bike and take a hike right out of here. Your history, no good for me. Your history, nah, 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 nah.
Just what Sri Lanka didn't want as we edge towards the end of the day here at Galle. Just what Mark Wood did want, having gone wicketless in the first test and struggled today, and we were claiming he looked weary. Even his attempts to be aggressive resembled those of a boxer who's taken some punches and is just sort of swinging, without too much effect. But he found the ball there and it did the trick.
Let me get through some tweets. Nigel Henderson says, another fielding cock up from Anderson at mid-on. Is he a flat outfield bully? Some talk about the Shakespeare that Guerrilla Cricket meets Romeo and Juliet. I never thought I would see the day. And
the egrets and the crows.
Our very own Knackles says, clear old ball bouncer plan. There's a leg gully, a short mid wicket and 2 men back on the hook. You can see the poster. Mark Wood is the enforcer.
Yeah.
Huey Andrews said that was going down leg, but not quite. Jono as England captain, says Joe Grover. Jono's dog as England fielding coach.
Want to be more successful?
Could he be the enforcer? The dog could be the enforcer.
Yeah.
Do you think Mark Wood and Neil Wagner have Zoom conferences together, just discussing best ways to intimidate batsmen when they're well set? You'd like to think it, wouldn't you?
Wagner's unbelievable, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. If you think in modern cricket, bowler you bring on as your enforcer, he would be the first name on my team sheet if you were picking that role.
And he just bowls and bowls as well. He never seems to get tired, and it takes a lot of effort to bowl one bouncer, let alone and he doesn't bowl bouncer after bouncer because you're only allowed 2 and over, but everything's at kind of chest throat height. And he just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it.
Fabulous player, providing he doesn't ever take hairdressing advice from Colin de Grandom. I think he's a wonderful player.
On YouTube, Jamie Wilson says, get in there, needed that. I think, yes. Well, from an England point of view, anyway.
Now, who are we going to see? It's as yet undecided. You think, Jono, some discussion of a night watchman would be too early to me, but Embledonian he only faced 11 balls, but they seem to take an awfully long time, and he saw Sri Lanka to stumps and protected Thirmani, didn't he?
Well, we've got Dick Weller's come out. We've got 50 minutes, haven't we, before the predicted close? So.
Yeah, no night watchman yet. Then it would have been too early. Or just on the edges of what would be acceptable, night watchman wise. I think Mark Wood. What a relief for him.
Jingle.
Dill scoop is his favorite shot. Frosted tips is what he's got. Unorthodox, the critics say, but untold keepers ought some way. Soon will Dick Wellerman come to bring Sri Lanka tea and fun. One day he'll get caught, or misjudge will leave and go.
Indeed it is. Niroshan Dick Weller, 27 years old. A man born in Kandy. 41 tests for him. Still, I think with that record where only Chetwan Chauhan and Shane Warne have hit more test runs without actually nailing a ton. So I'm sure Niroshan Dick Weller would love to get that off his record book, as this one is in from Leach. Left arm around for him, pushed away into the offside. Again, there's no run. And all of a sudden, Mark Wood is trotting, jogging, and looking like a man, a new man, basically, isn't he? Happy, refreshed, and a right old spring in his trot now. In comes Leach, and again, this is solidly defended into the offside. Once more, there is no run.
He does look like he loves his cricket, though, doesn't he, Mark Wood? Like when you see him being interviewed about that World Cup final when he was sat on the tumble dryer and stuff. He does seem like a really good character, like a really well-natured lad.
Matthews forward again, pushed into the offside. No run. That's
Oh,
3
Peter
on the trot.
Peter Jones says, "Get in, Woody lad. Give yourself a sugar lump."
I remember when they used to have, what was the injection? Instead of an injection, you'd have a sugar lump. Instead, that was polio, wasn't it? And as a kid, to put it on a lump of sugar. This one's pushed back down the track straight to Jack Leach by Angelo Matthews.
You're not,
Before my time,
you're not confusing that with LSD, Tony, eh?
Absinthe, LSD.
Absinthe makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, absolutely.
193 for 4. Didn't it turn the monks blind? What was the abbey where the monks all drunk absinthe, and hence the expression
started,
I think in fact blind drunk.
Yeah. I
It's
had
because
it
they
once.
literally lose.
I had it
their
once,
eyesight.
never again.
Absinthe.
Yeah.
Oh, you can talk us through the effects of that. I know the bear would be interested. As this one onto the back foot goes, Matthews forces this away through mid-wicket, and that is a weary plod by 2 fielders. Who is it who gets it? Jimmy. Jimmy was the one who got there first.
Beat Zach Crawley in a race.
He did. I think Crawley did look like he was labouring. Takes Matthews on to 94. It takes Sri Lanka very close to that 200 mark. 196 for 4 for them. Dick Weller yet to get off the mark.
Right in the game now here, Sri Lanka. Oh, Joe Root. I'm not sure what he's surfing, something or other.
Joe Root. Well, he's clearly perked up.
Mm.
It's amazing the effect a wicket at the right time can have.
Greg Grover says, if I hadn't already started drinking, Dick Weller's jingle would inspire me to begin. Leia says, I remember Don Johnson in later seasons of Miami Vice being described as Czechoslovakian hockey player for a De Grandhomme-esque haircut. Mm.
Yeah, so I've seen a picture of it, and
Is it awful?
It is a crime against tonsorial elegance. I mean, it is just appalling. I've got to be honest.
Oh dear.
But then I'm not a man who particularly favours the mullet as a style. There may be those that do. Mark Wood, not surprisingly, is continuing, and he spears it away down leg. Although interestingly, Matthews had a little flick at it, and there was a few oohs and ahs as Joss Butler comfortably collected. But no dramas, as they say in Australia, and we will move on. I suspect that might have been Wood's last over, were it not for that wicket off the last ball of it, and then it was a case of not being able to get it out of his hands, I would imagine, Johnny.
Yeah, well, 100%. Once a bowler's gotten a wicket, they automatically assume they're going to get another 1 or 2 the next over. It's very difficult to prize it out of the hands of that.
Turns at the top of his mark. He's barreling in now with some real intent. He has a slip in place, and again it's down leg. Again, it's taken at ankle height by Joss Butler, and obviously England needed that wicket, but perhaps Mark Wood could have just gone to graze in the outfield and saved himself.
A couple of my
average balls there.
A couple of my mates have had their opinion on the Alex Hales thing in a WhatsApp group. Someone said, you've seen that he's just smashed another one, said runs his currency. Another one said, I don't think he can physically score enough runs. Apparently he's going to the top of the BBL list of run scorers, and so one of my mates suggested that those nose beers are actually doing him some good whilst in Australia.
This one is flicked away to mid-wicket by Angelo Matthews. Again, there's no run. 94 for him. The nervous 90s. He's looked like he's got nerves of steel and utterly untroubled for this innings by and large. So I'm not sure the 90s will overly concern him. But how England would love one more wicket tonight. If you go in 200 odd with 5 down, you feel it's been an even day, I think.
I think they're right in the game here.
It's beautifully poised. Short. Matthews crouches underneath it, and through it goes to Joss Butler.
Yeah, I think if they'll probably get 250 here, you'd think, and I think that puts them in a really strong position. If they then go much past that, then they're going to be in a really good spot.
I think 250 is a little stingy of you on Sri Lanka's behalf, I think, John. I mean, clearly 2 more wickets, you might think that, but with Matthews still there and set, and Dick Weller very capable indeed. I would hope. I think they'd be eyeing 300 plus, and very disappointed not to get to that.
Is there another
all remains to be seen. Wood is in, right arm over. Again, it's down leg, Matthews. Well, Wood's looking as though he's annoyed, upset, frustrated, felt he should have got something more for that. I mean, it didn't look that great a ball, and to me it just seemed like Matthews pulled the bat out the way and through to Butler it went.
I think it's really negative. If he's going to try and get him out caught down the leg side, I'd rather he was doing it from around the wicket. I just think it's a really negative line the way he's bowling, because he's only got one mode of dismissal here. He's almost hiding the ball outside the leg stump, which I just think a terrible approach. And the Bear agrees with me, which makes me feel justified.
Oh well, most definitely. Wood's going to be in again to Matthews, who drives straight to short mid-wicket, a little bit uppish too. There was a bit of excitement and a bit of a flurry there, but it dropped well short. It is the end of that over. Sri Lanka are 196 for 4. We've had 71 overs. Dick Weller still yet to face a ball, and Angelo Matthews on 94 from the 192 he's faced. Nestlers.
Betty Jez says Tony and I seem to be the only ones old enough to remember the joy of the sugar lump polio vaccine. There were no anti-vaxxers in my school. Mog says rumours of absinthe evils are well overstated. Absinthe is the worst, says Leia. I had a 3-hour paranoid episode after having some of that stuff. Walking home that night was no fun, let me tell you. I agree with Leia. Knuckle didn't have any particular adverse effects from the one time he drank it, sugar cube and all.
How was the absinthe?
But the taste is not very nice, I remember. I vaguely remember the polio vaccines on sugar cubes, but how on earth would it be practical for LSD storage and transmission?
Maybe we shouldn't go too deeply into that.
There was something that
we will find ourselves relegated to the dark web.
They did it in the 60s, didn't they?
Yeah. The Bear is nodding. I hesitate to say expertly, but a fulsome acknowledgement of the accuracy of that.
Drop some liquid acid onto a sugar cube and eat it. There you go.
There you go. In comes Jack Leach, and that is Dick Weller's first ball, which he meets very capably, comfortably, and effectively to push it into the onside, and there's no run.
Also, some of the heads used to drop it straight into the liquid acid, straight into the eyeballs.
Oh, Lord above! Leach in again. And he's going to be fielded off his own bowling.
Imagine that.
That's something of an amble.
And then you'd put on Jefferson Airplane,
who became Jefferson Starship.
Who were
Am
terrible.
I right? Was it Grace Slick?
Lead singer.
Yeah.
Pluralistic pillow.
Leach in again, tosses it up outside the left-hander's off stump, but it's leaned into. Away into the offside, no run.
White Rabbit.
Yes, correct. 196 for 4. I was enjoying. I'll wait as Leach throws this up. And Dick Weller gets everything tucked in behind it, and again there is no run. Now Dick Weller, of course, is been quoted recently as saying he's looking for the ability to be able to change gear more. Rather than going straight into fifth and probably conking out halfway up a hill, he's looking to vary his approach more for Test cricket, and he'd be very disappointed indeed were he to give it away tonight with an aggressive shot he doesn't need to play. So let's see how he goes. He's going all right so far.
If he wants to change gear, he can go onto our website and get a bat from Jono, can't he?
Very good. Leach trots across to the offside to field off his own bowling once more. Still 196 for 4. This session we've had 18.5 overs, 41 runs, and just that one Mark Wood wicket. All given fairly instantly as LBW reviewed, but not surprisingly validated. That is flicked away around the corner, down to long leg. An easy single is suitably jogged. Weller is 1. Therefore, he's kept the strike too. So I'm sure there isn't yet a strategy to think about protecting the batsman on 90. It's just the single was there to be taken, and it was taken.
The 40 minutes before the end of play, they'll probably be looking for another 30. You'd think, the Sri Lankans.
Well, would you like 30? Would you have 40 for 2, or 20 without loss?
I could take 20 without loss.
20 without loss. Yeah. So you're probably right. 30 is probably about the right target.
Yeah, I think the weather's stayed away, so they've been lucky on that front so far. Just try and get through to the close now and be there when the sun's shining first thing tomorrow morning.
Here's one for you, Tony, from Farong.
All right.
It's inappropriate to make a dad joke if you're not a dad. It's a faux pas.
Oh.
That's why I don't make dad jokes, he says.
Maybe, yeah. Faux pas. Yes. Very good. I like that. 197 for 4. Speaking of Farong, who are Bournemouth playing tonight? I know my boys are away at Stoke. Can they do it on a windy Friday night in Stoke is the big question for us tonight. That's an inside edge. Butler scurries over and Willfield off his own bowling. They will take an easy single.
It's a fair
moral victory of sorts.
I don't know if Mark would. He must have put that earpiece in that I sent to him, because obviously he's got him with the full one, and then he's gone round the wicket.
It was a poor shot.
An awful shot.
It was an awful shot, and that could easily have taken that inside edge back onto the stumps. We got 7 and just a shade under 8 overs until that new ball is due. One suspects England may well take it. If their seamers had been firing, if their spinners had been firing on all cylinders, then perhaps not. But that's short and pulled away down to long leg, where it is fielded by, I think, Sam Curran. Dives away to his left.
I've got a tweet that has to be read out after this over.
Well, that's a tweet that literally demands to be read.
Yes.
You demanding it.
I am demanding.
You are.
Satisfaction.
The demanding Nestlers will get his tweet, don't worry. Sri Lanka are demanding, I'm sure, that they want to get to 200. They're 199 for 4. Nirashan Dikwala on 2. The estimable Angelo Matthews is on 95 and doing a superb job for his country here. And we shall see. You feel, actually, to a certain extent, he may hold the key to how this test match is going to go. Were he to go fall tonight, it would look a different game somehow. Woody's coming around the wicket to him. To left-handed Dick Weller, I beg your pardon. But away into the offside it goes. Dan Lawrence is furiously trying to put some shine on that old ball with his shirt. I wonder if he's been designated as the shiner in chief.
You're buggered to get that stain out of that shirt now.
Yeah, his mum will be worried. She said, "You expect me to wash that?" 199 for 4. Gently, fairly sedate run rate. We're going to have a change fairly soon. One more over after this, I believe, as this one is a bit of a misfield in the covers. We're concentrating on Mark Wood, so I can't tell you if they ran. I don't think they did, because that score still sits on 199 for 4. Matthews, of course, who missed the South Africa series, didn't he? But he's wasn't expected to be fit for this. Am I right in thinking? And yet there he was, and he played. He was certainly one of the standout players for Sri Lanka in the last game, and has absolutely been that in this game. So his experience is really crucial for Sri Lanka's well-being.
They look a completely
in this
different
series.
side.
Wood again around the wicket. The bat is angled by Dick Weller just to steer it to extra cover, and there's no run. 90 miles an hour that from Wood. He's squeezing every last drop of effort to try and get something more for himself and for England tonight. Effort you feel he may not have been able to find were it not for the wicket that he did take. But he's doing it pretty well now. We're actually looking at several views of that being given out, and palpable expression of joy, but mixed with relief when the umpire's finger went up. And again, it's steered away to extra cover, and again there is no run.
Right, Grand Theft Auto re Absinthe he caned half a bottle of real absinthe after a stag do once and spent the small hours having a nice chat with a Japanese woman in my mate's flat. The only problem, as I learnt in the morning, was that she did not exist. At least in this dimension.
Amazing.
That's kind of a bit of my experience on absinthe.
People used to say it was hallucinogenic, didn't they?
Yeah, I can't remember much about that night, but I came downstairs the next day and everyone in my mate's house was just looking at me like that look as if to say, what were you doing?
It's a very particular kind of hallucination though, isn't it? I mean, pink elephants dancing, or wobbly, the whole floor moving and the ceiling shifting and all of those.
It was banned, wasn't it, for a long time?
But this was a conversation with a Japanese lady is a very precise sort of hallucination.
Apparently I ran out into the field claiming that a meteor was about to strike and that everyone should come out and watch it. I don't remember doing that.
Jack Leach this was you, was it? As Jack Leach is in, that was no meteor, that was a fairly straightforward, easy to defend ball, and was duly defended as such. Still 199 for 4. The balding pate, the 5 o'clock shadow or designer stubble for Jack Leach, and in he comes, and that's pushed into the onside. Of course, he always fields and bowls with his contact lenses in, and then bats with his glasses, doesn't he, Jack Leach? The reason for that, I'm not sure. I think it was something about sweat going into his eyes from under the batting helmet. I think was one of the reasons he gave. In he comes again, onto the back foot goes Matthews. High elbowed defensive stroke into the offside. No run.
He needs to bowl a length that's somewhere between the length of the last ball and the one of the two previously, because he's either gone fully forward or fully back. It's that in between length he's obviously really trying to find.
Again, onto the back foot goes Matthews. Are you keeping little tabs on Hot Mic, by the way?
No, I haven't got it at the moment.
Oh, okay. I'll have a quick little shuftiette for you. I think things have been
off
fairly
after
quiet.
This.
We are. Hot Mic's okay. Apparently, forward comes Matthews again. That's just pushed to mid off. There is no run. 1 ball left of our little stint, then, gentlemen. I think that's then me for the day. I don't think there'll be any overspill. So I can probably go and put my head down for a while. And nicely forward comes Matthews. Defended again. There's a new ball in 6 overs. 199 for 4. 95 for Dick Weller. 95 for Angelo Matthews. 2 for nourishing Dick Weller. And I shall take my leave and leave you in the more than capable hands of Nigel Henderson.
Thanks, Tony. Yes, we go into the final knockings of the day's play with Sri Lanka on 199 for 4. Angelo Matthews closing in on another 100. What a performer he's been for his country. And so great to see Mark Wood get a wicket there, actually. He bowled... bowling with great ferocity, I thought. Great effort. And deserved it. Looked out to me as soon as it struck him on the pad, unless, of course, he'd got a little edge on it, and he hadn't. And England desperately needed that breakthrough. It's given them the chance maybe to pick up 2 more tonight. And if they go to stumps with Sri Lanka 240 for 6, I think they'll be pretty happy. Wood has the ball back in his hands. He's running in again, round the wicket to Dick Weller. Dick Weller goes back, tries to force, but doesn't really time the ball. Just plays it into the ground, and the man at Galle motors round to his left to field. And there is no run. Welcome back, Bear.
All right, Hendo, what I was going to say, the chance to get the batsman out is probably when he comes to the crease, isn't it? The pitch is benign, but they've got to get themselves in. So if you can just get them to make a little mistake by playing slightly down the wrong line, get a nick or anything like that, that's your best chance. It seems once you get set, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, Dick Weller as a batsman promises more than he delivers, it has to be said. He's very attractive when he gets going, if he gets going. Wood into him again. He's calmly onto the front foot and defends that up the onside of the pitch, and Wood fields off his own bowling. And welcome back to Messi Jez for the final time today.
Thank you, Hender. I think Woods really lifted himself for this spell. He's bowled better in this spell than he has all day. He's really challenged the batsman a bit.
I thought the funny thing was actually that Leach bowled better after he got that wicket as well. It's almost like the belief came into the whole side.
Yes, and there was a little bit more turn, wasn't there? And it was shortly before that Jack Leach had actually turned one off the straight for the first time. Wood in again, bowls a short one, which is glanced down towards fine leg. Around comes Sam Curran, has to dive and throw the ball back in field a few yards before getting a back up and bowling it to the wicketkeeper. They're quite happy with the 2. And Sri Lanka's 200 is up, 201 for 4. As Tony was alluding to, we're now 5 overs from a new ball.
And I do think that Jono was very modest in terms of expectations for Sri Lanka. I think on this pitch, having won the toss, anything less than 350 would be a big disappointment.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot depends on what happens between now and the end of play. As I say, if they're 6 down at the end of the day, as this one springs off a defensive shot square on the offside and is fielded by Dominic Bess, if they're 6 down tonight, they'll feel very disappointed. Because there was a chance when Chandimal was out there with Matthews that they could lay the foundations for a really big score here. And when the Bear and I were on last, I think we were talking about the prospect of them just trying to bat the once in this test match and use up time as well. I mean, in a way, you don't really want to necessarily score that quickly on this pitch because you want to use up time to enable it to deteriorate a little bit. Wood again. Or I say he was about to bowl, but Dick Weller doesn't seem to be quite ready.
And see, the thing is, Angelo now is thinking about his ton. He's slowed down dramatically, hasn't he?
That's true.
Which is good.
Here is Wood in, bowls to Dick Weller onto the back foot, chops it square, spilled by the fielder. Again, I think he's Bess running around to his left. I've been watching this all day. And I haven't seen Johnny Bairstow once. Is he actually out there?
Yeah, I did. He was at mid-wicket for a while.
Oh, was he? Okay.
I regard that as a mercy.
Well, I've not seen Johnny Bairstow once. I think that's harsh, Messers.
Well, I mean, whenever you see him, he's angry, isn't he?
Well, he's red. He's red-headed. He has to be angry. It's part of his makeup.
He's an angry redhead.
Yeah, exactly. And he's redder than most redheads. Let's be honest. He's a true red. In comes Wood again, and that's pleasantly timed by Dick Weller as he comes onto the front foot and can't pierce the field on the offside. That's the end of the over.
Played that a long way.
Sri Lanka are 201 for 4.
Played that a long way from his pads, though, didn't he?
I have to pay credit to Daniel Foreman for an inspired tweet. He, in the context of the Romeo and Juliet discussion, he's sent us a photo of Monty and Tremlett together. It's a great photo in itself, but subtitled Montague and Tremulet. I think that's brilliant. That's been retweeted from the Guerrilla Cricket account.
There you go.
Mog says Grace Slick is still alive and in her 80s. Apropos of what, I'm not sure. Farong says Tamim Iqbal brings up his 50 in his 47th of his ODI career. Average of 36.8, not bad. Bangladesh need 40 off 25 overs to win. Tabish that the Cherries have Crawley in the FA Cup, but COVID has found its way into their squad, so off until Monday on memory.
I think that's actually been pushed back to Tuesday. I was looking at the fixtures yesterday, so I think that's on Tuesday now. Second new ball available in 5 overs. A new pair of gloves, it would appear, for Angelo Matthews. He's going to be facing Jack Leach, left arm around the wicket. 21st over of the day, goes back to that and forces through a gap in the offside. There is a protection on the cover boundary, so it's just a single.
Do you think they might delay taking a new ball to I mean, a new ball is very precious, and you want everyone to be as fresh as they can be. For the sake of 10 minutes.
I mean, somebody who was swinging it this morning was Sam Curran, and he hasn't bowled for a while. In fact, he hasn't really bowled that many overs today, so he would be possible.
But you want Jimmy to have it, surely, and it's only 50 minutes since he stopped bowling.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll take it. Leach in again, forced up to a deep set mid on. They'll take an easy single. Dick Weller moves to 5. Yeah, the only reason they wouldn't take it, I would think, and that's taking into account what you said about players being tired on a very hot day, would be if this old ball was turning square, and it isn't. So I think they will take the new ball. Angelo Matthews is closing in on a first Test century at Galle as he defends that into the offside. Leach races across to prevent him getting that single, and so he remains there, just one boundary away from that landmark. He's hit 12 50s but never got to 3 figures.
And the odds are that they... Sorry.
Go on, Messi.
I'll wait for
After this ball, he goes back to this one, cuts it more powerfully, but the result will be pretty much the same. There is protection out there in the form of Dan Lawrence, I think it is, just still 1, 204 for 4.
The odds are that if they do take the new ball, they won't get through more than about 6 overs with it tonight, I'd say. So it'll still be very new in the morning.
Well, yeah, I'm guessing the cut-off point will be 12 o'clock. I mean, they're definitely going to do a bit of overtime here because, despite the number of overs bowled by the spinners, they've still been remarkably slow in their over rate. Here is Leach again, round the wicket to the left-hander, Dick Weller moving his feet and then steering it up to Anderson at mid-off. They run through for another single, and that is not quite the end of the over. There's still 1 ball to go, 205 for 4. Matthews now on 97. He's got 1 ball with which to go to the 3 figures from this over.
Well, but the light comes in very quickly, and if there's clouds, I don't think they'll get to 12. They'll probably get to about 1/4 and then they'll probably go off a bad light.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That'd be my bet.
Leach again, none for 63, looking for that first breakthrough of the day. He bowls to Matthews, who goes back and cuts again. You're absolutely right, there is very little margin for error because it's not quite full enough to pull him forward, but there's plenty of time to go back and play that shot. They take another single. He'll keep the strike. 98 not out. Sri Lanka 206 for 4. Tweets.
So Martin Lawrence has drawn our attention to what I think is just a piece of clickbait article from the Telegraph Sport.
Extraordinary.
Suggesting banning anyone who plays white ball cricket for a year from red ball cricket. I mean, I just think I haven't read it because it's behind a paywall, but stupid idea.
That's a
in so many ways, the Telegraph has just become a joke of a newspaper. To be fair, it really has. I mean, it used to be so good for sport when I was growing up, irrespective of your political affiliations. But politically, it is ridiculous now. And with articles like that, what is the point apart from I don't know, creating a little bit of discussion that everyone knows that no one would take that seriously. It's never going to be considered by the ECB. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Was it only the ECB or was it? I presume it was only the ECB. I was going to say, if you applied that to the West Indies, they wouldn't have a test side.
Well,
someone like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the ECB has any hold over the West Indies players. Anyway,
is it one of the Barclays?
Otto Simon says, good to see Sri Lanka with a respectable first innings score. Looking forward to a 5-day thriller. Hoping for it anyway.
Wood looking for maybe a catch down the leg side. He's got the leg slip in there. He sprays it just wide of that leg stump. Matthews couldn't get anything on it. You've got to be pretty lucky. When you're bowling at his speed, if you're expecting the ball to come off the face of the bat as he tries to glance it, for it to actually go directly to the man at leg slip, you've got to be very lucky.
Indeed.
But it does appear that they are looking at as a prospective way of dismissing Matthews, but nothing's come of it so far. Wood turns again at the top of his run. He's just got 1 orthodox slip, and that one is played not with the confidence of a man who's got 98, it has to be said. A little bit of a thick inside edge there. Foot wasn't really to the ball, offering encouragement that maybe Wood can exploit a gap between bat and pad, but no run is scored.
I thought Jono was right, actually. I think if you're going to try and get the strangle down the leg side, you're probably better off coming round the wicket, aren't you?
I would have thought so, yeah.
I don't know, really. Well, you take anything else pretty much out of the equation if you do that, don't you?
Yeah, true.
Here he is again, Wood bowls. This one is flicked away off his hip, nicely timed by Matthews, who will be progressing to that 3-figure mark by singles alone, it appears. Nothing too spectacular from him. 207 for 4. Still 3.5 overs till the new ball.
It's a bit of leg
Josie
theory.
Oak wants to know if we're registering on the doomed meter yet.
No, I wouldn't say so. I think if that partnership had gone on for too much longer, if Chandamala Matthews were sitting pretty at the end of the day with 100 each, then that would be a different matter. But they got that crucial breakthrough from Mark Wood, and if they can just uproot one of these now, England are almost in the driving seat. Here is Wood round the wicket to the left-hander. He drives at that one and is beaten as it moves ever so slightly off the pitch, angled in and then moving away, and taken cleanly by Butler. So just fishing for that a little bit outside off stump was Dick Weller. But, he hangs on in there. A little bit of swing actually there again. I think it started to swing before it went off the pitch.
There's a fairly stiff breeze which might be handy for Wood as well. I'm not sure the direction, but I noticed the flags fluttering really strongly.
They have been, haven't they, most of the day, to be fair.
Yeah.
As Wood is in again, 2 slips waiting, and this one is played quite comfortably into the offside to... Who's that? Zach Crawley? Dan Lawrence? I can't tell underneath that cap, but it's fielded. He looks at the ball, he wipes some sweat on it, tries to create a little bit more shine. But we have only 3.1 overs to go with this ball, and then you get a brand new, bright one. And, well, that could be make for an interesting last 20 minutes or so. Looking at the spells for Mark Wood today, 4 overs, no maidens, none for 10. And first spell, 5 overs, 1 maiden, none for 22. And this one, 6.5 overs, 1 for 15. He's been much better towards the end of the day. Here he is again, racing in around the wicket, bowling to Dick Weller. Dick Weller goes back and defends up to mid-off. That is the end of the over. Sri Lanka 207 for 4.
So we've got a couple of comments commenting how mad and ridiculous the Telegraph is. Farong's talking about football. I refuse to read that out. And Jay Grover said, I used to enjoy the Telegraph for cricket, and you know my political inclinations. It's just got silly now. Weirdly, the Daily Mail has a good book review section, but I haven't read that for a while either. From my point of view, the only paper that came into our house until I was about 15 was the Telegraph, and every county game had a written report on it. It was brilliant. I shared a little while ago the Bear Bingo card from several years ago, which there's still a lot of relevant. Number 1, you fucking muppet. 2, can someone get me a beer? 3, my hernia is still playing up. 4, I went under for the next wicket. 5, you haven't got kids, Hendo. 6, is anybody in the green room fucking listening? 7, I couldn't get auto-tune to work. And 8, my webman is a bit of a stoner.
Outside the off-stump, that will be 100 for Matthews. Or will it? Yes, it will. I just thought for a moment that he'd cut that. The man was coming in from cover, but he's committed to the single. He's gone through it. He's a very happy man indeed. It's his 11th 100 in his 88th test. His teammates are out on the balcony giving him a well-deserved round of applause. And Mickey Arthur is saying, I knew I shouldn't wear those shorts today. That is what wearing the long trousers will do for a team. Matthews goes to 100, 208 for 4.
That's brilliant. That's his first 100 in
20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100.
Congratulations, sir. You are a centurion.
$207 balls, 10 fours. Now Leach over the wicket to the left-handed Dick Weller. He's got a short square leg, slightly backward, and a slip, and he bowls a full toss. It's driven, stopped by Sibley, I think it is, or is it Lawrence at extra cover? So a little bit fortunate to get away with that. England desperate to get through one of these tonight. Maybe a tiring Angelo Matthews against the new ball. Down the wicket comes Dick Weller, forces up to a deep set mid-on. They run through for one. Sammy Curran is the man in that position. I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting loose in the next over or two to take that new ball with Jimmy Anderson. But we shall see. We shall see.
Did you see that one of the Barkley brothers died?
Yes, indeed. Yes, but they've been selling the Telegraph for some while, haven't they?
I don't think they got a buyer though, have they?
Well, they were struggling for a buyer. I know that. Yeah. Matthews then back down to face the right-hander. Just a slip for him as Leach is back round the wicket. Loopy full delivery, which Matthews just pats back to him. And there is no run. 209 for 4. Toil for Leach, none for 66. Into his 22nd over now. And he's into the becapped Angelo Matthews. He bowls. Matthews goes back. No turn there. Forced to extra cover. They think about the single but say no. And the score remains 209 for 4. If England don't get another wicket tonight, it's really been Sri Lanka's day, hasn't it?
I think so, yes.
Although a couple of wickets quickly in the morning could change things around. I did want Wood to bowl straight after tea. Didn't get that. He has bowled very well in this last spell. This is punched up to mid-on. Bracey is on. James Bracey. So I'm not sure who's off the field at the moment. Maybe it is Johnny Bairstow.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wood's taken a break after his bowling spell.
Exactly, got to get a rub down.
Yep, could be. Let's look at that scorecard. Thirumanni was caught Butler bowled Anderson 43. Pereira caught Root bowled Anderson for 6. Shadow Fernando playing his first home game for Sri Lanka bowled Anderson fourth ball for a duck. Chandimal batted really well with Matthews. A LBW to Wood for 52. Angelo Matthews not out 100. Dick Weller 7 not out from 24 balls. Mendes, Pereira, Lakmal, Embaldenia and Fernando to come. Any tweets?
Yes, Knackle is tempting fate a little, I think. He says, whisper it quietly, but Joss Butler's kept well in this series. He took a sharp catch to get rid of Kuzal Mendes off Leach in the first test, and he's been tidy when any keeper could easily lose concentration given how infrequently the balls passed the bat. And, of course, he actually had his first ever stumping in the last match.
Yeah. Well, he did. He did, and I think it's incredibly... In a way, incredibly good news that he's only going to play one of those tests in India. And the reason I say that is because Ben Foakes, I think it took 2 stumpings when he appeared in Sri Lanka in 2018 and played a hell of a lot more fewer tests than Joss Butler.
And scored a lot of runs.
Has scored a few runs, to be fair, including 100. But I think if you miss a stumping, short ball from Wood as he's round the wicket to the left-handed Dick Weller. He ducks underneath it. If you miss a stumping of a Kohli or a Rahane or a Gill even now, that's going to have a longer-lasting impact, I think, in general, than most Sri Lanka batsmen that you might stump. So I think having the best gloveman behind the stumps for the India series is absolutely vital.
I thought he was only going to miss 2.
No, he's going to miss 1. He's only going to play the first now.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah. 2 slips in the gully for Wood as he races in, bowls and chopped backward square by Dick Weller, fielded by Bess amongst a gathering of crows. And there is no run. More tweets.
Leah sent us a photo of the bloke who's written that Telegraph article saying, just take a look at the inbred public school muppet that wrote that banned white ball players article to know everything you need to know about the value of the said article.
Well, Simon Heffer, I mean, he's a well-known right-wing columnist, and I mean, you take most of the things he says with a pinch of salt, unless you are also a right-wing idiot, I would say. Wood in bowls to Dick Weller, short ball. He thinks about trying to ramp that up and over the slips, but just drops his hands in the nick of time, lets it pass through to Butler.
Jay Grover is raising a glass, I'm pleased to hear. Light Roller says, Johnny Bairstow, I imagine, is a doomsday prepper. Happy only when roaming forests and woods hunting for resources and eating raw meat. Either that or he's still miffed that he's not behind the stumps.
You get the impression he's a bit of an outdoorsy sort of person, wouldn't you? I think he'd do quite well in things like the Highland Games, or those sort of lumberjack competitions you get in the States. Here's Wood again.
What? Just because he's ginger?
Yeah, probably. I just imagine him in a lumberjack shirt.
Yeah,
really. It would seem to suit him.
Red and black check.
Sorry?
Red and black check to go with his red hair.
Absolutely. Now, look, what have we got? We've got 2 gullies now, separated by about 2 metres, and a single slip. And Wood is in again, looking for the full ball this time, defended stoutly by Dick Weller, full face of the bat. And there is no run.
But there is a mid-wicket. The light roller says the UK government is considering paying 500 quid for peeps with COVID, according to the Guardian. Isn't this going to lead to COVID parties?
Yeah, well, I suppose if you wanted the 500 quid, there's going to be a black market in forms telling people you've got COVID. Probably, because people can make bad out of good all the time, can't they?
But the thing is, you'll be net £300 down, because I think the COVID fine's going to go up to 800 quid. So it's not really going to pay off, is it?
Oh, that was the bizarre announcement last night, or was it yesterday during the day? Oh, now that's swung in to Dick Weller. I'm guessing it was a lot slower. It was just 76 miles an hour, but it boomeranged really, and would have surprised the batsman a little bit, who just dropped his bat on it and defended. But they were saying something along the lines of, you will be fined £800 if you go to a house party of 15 or more people. But 15 or more people is well above what should be at any gathering. So I just don't understand that. It's like saying, oh well, here you go, have a party of 14 people, and you'll get away with it. Wood in bowls down the leg side slightly, turned on its way by Dick Weller. He'll pick up his 8th run as it's fielded by Curran coming in from long leg. That is the end of the over. Second new ball available in 1 over's time. Sri Lanka are 210 for 4.
So Mogg says surely the best way to uproot one of the batsmen is for the captain to bring himself on. I actually think it would be a good idea for to have a couple of overs of Tripe and see if you get some wickets out of that.
I said earlier in the day that I'd like to see a little bit of Rooty. Even a bit of Dan Lawrence. I've never seen Dan Lawrence bowl, but allegedly he bowled some off breaks.
We watched him in
he bowled a couple of overs in the last test, didn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Was it not great?
It's like a whirling dervish. It's a lot of.
Well, he managed to take 4 wickets in one match for the England Lions down under last winter.
Yeah, there was a lot of moving parts to his action. It has to be said.
Okay. Well, the 4th umpire is standing with the new ball, so it looks like it's going to be taken immediately by England. We've got
Leah,
4. Go on, Messi.
Leah postulates a possible quote from Mickey Arthur that you might not be able to see it, Angelo, because they forced me to wear these prudish trousers, but rest assured that my reproductive organs are swelling with pride.
Well, it's going to be Dominic Bess to bowl the 1 over before the new ball is taken. He's got figures of none for 50 from his 17 overs. He's going to be bowling to the left-handed Dick Weller. Can he get one to just turn off the straight to the left-hander? He's got 1 slip, waiting for a chance. He throws it up, and he mistimes his defensive shot as he comes forward there a little bit, but the ball runs slowly back to Bess, and there is no run.
I should have mentioned Diana Patterson had a good addition to the Bear Bingo card, which was, that's genius.
Indeed, that's genius. That's another well-known phrase. Little paddle sweep. Although the England close fielders, that's Butler behind the stumps and Root, thought perhaps that he didn't get much bat on that. It hit the pad, but I don't think so. I think that's been given as a run. Dick Weller goes to 9, 211 for 4.
How's the GPL looking, Bear?
211. Hold on, my phone's going. Who the hell's ringing me?
Just looking at the paddle sweep again. Yeah, there's plenty of bat on that. I don't know why we're appealing. More in hope than expectation, one expects. As Bess is back over the wicket to the right-handed Matthews, who clips this one away with the smidgen of turn that's available. Zach Crawley fields at square leg.
Well, the lowest score on the GPL is 227 from Hombre Nuevo. You don't come until 253, and that's the next lowest score.
No.
227 might not be a bad call.
Yeah, I reckon.
away, given much more air this by Best, but there's a man at deep mid-wicket, so it's just another single to Matthews, moves on to 101, and Sri Lanka to 212 for 4. 2 balls remaining before that new ball can be taken. Dick Weller to face. Best looking to see if he can get some turn. Is there enough in the footmarks there? Not really. It's another of those clever little paddle sweeps. He's going to get one. He's probably going to get a second. That's Bracey down at long leg doing the fielding. So another couple added to the Sri Lankan score. Dick Weller moves into double figures. He goes to 11. Restrained knock from him so far. Sensible knock, providing support to the well-set Matthews. Dick Weller, we're just looking at his record there. He's averaging 30. He's a good batsman. And although he's got plenty of 50s, he's never been able to get to the 3 figures. Maybe tomorrow will be the day. He's forward to that one, just prodding it back down the onside of the pitch, and there is no run.
Well,
that is the over, and the second new ball is being brought on as we speak.
Well, it'd be about right if we got a ton against us. Everyone gets the highest scores against England when we're watching Hendo.
It does appear to be that way.
That's the rules of guerrilla cricket.
It does appear like that for many a year, to be honest.
It has.
Maybe we're being selective in the innings we remember, but it does appear like that.
Oh dear. Jay Grover, on the demise of one of each pair of brothers, says one Cock, one Coke, one Barkley. I'm sure there's a Star Wars joke there, but I know on shaky ground. Light Roller says good knock from Matthews. He's proving to be a tough nut for England to crack. Key wicket.
Yes.
Jay Grover says, are you serious? That was Butler's first ever stumping. Indeed it was.
Yep, absolutely.
And Knuckles says, well, I don't think Butler has had many stumping chances, certainly nothing like the density that Folks had in the Sri Lanka series. Butler is only playing 1 test, so he can have a reasonable break and complete quarantine on his return before the white ball series.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that, but I mean, we've seen with our very own eyes Butler missed plenty of stumping chances in test matches. So the fact that he's only got his first one in the last test kind of indicates that he's not at his best standing up, and we want a man who is at his best standing up. Ben Folks is a very good wicketkeeper.
We've seen Butler miss enough important stumpings, really.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Exactly.
You know,
I have to disagree with you there, Knuckle.
Exactly. People taking a couple of steps down a track and then, beating their outside edge, and he's had an age to stump them, and he's not collected the ball and shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, and the ball's rebounded off his thigh or something like that, or into his chest. I mean, yeah, there have been plenty of examples. Second new ball is taken, and who is going to get first of use of it but this man?
Oh, I want to choose another jingle, but you're coming too quick.
Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja.
Yes, indeed. And how well has he bowled today? 15 overs, 3 for 16. He's come in and carried on where Stuart Broad left off. He's in. Oh, there's a little bit of swing, and Matthews is tentative. No foot movement at all. Just almost traps that under the bat as it threatened to go away from him. And there is no run.
Well, he just had to have the physio on, didn't he, as well, loosening up his hips and stuff.
Who did? Jimmy did?
No, Dick Weller. They were just showing him he was on the ground and the physio was on, stretching his legs and stuff, doing the old hip flexors.
Okay. Here's Anderson again. We've gone past the official end of the day. Onto the back foot goes Matthews. Make sure he's there tomorrow morning. Defends up to mid-on. And there is no run.
Will we do a changeover, Hendo?
Well, no, we just keep going. We're just going to keep going.
Oh, okay.
I didn't allow for anyone else in the overspill. I thought we might as well just finish it off.
Perfect.
Let poor Tony and Jono go and put their heads down for a little while. We can handle it. We're men. 214 for 4. Sibley has come into the slips. He's alongside Joe Root. He's in bowls, and Matthews is having a good long look at this. He leaves a foolish delivery outside the off stump, and it's through to the keeper. sometimes of this parish, or occasionally of this parish. Certainly during the was it the IPL? We had a little bit of Monty Panesar, didn't we? He does tweet some random things, and he's tweeted just now. Each year, about 100 million bikes are produced worldwide. Now there you go. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I did not.
Well, you do now.
Some end up in canals.
Yes, that's a good point. Outside the off stump again, and left alone again by Matthews. I'm not sure what sort of response he's expecting to that.
Well, I expect 50 million of them are ridden 3 times and then put in the shed.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably true. He's got a reply which shows 2 people racing on penny farthings. That's fantastic. If that's real, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Now, why don't they bring that back to the Olympics? We've got all these various classes. Oh, big, loopy in-swinger. Wow, that really went. And Matthews must have been as surprised by the rest of us by that one. He managed to steer it to mid-wicket. And Anderson stood there, looked at him, expecting, I think, respect from Matthews for that one. Really good ball. It's like Old Trafford on a grey morning. Yeah. Wow, that really went. How long will this last?
Not long, unfortunately.
Yeah, probably not very long, no. It's true.
Jimmy was looking around at this to say, well, don't I get a wicket for that?
Yeah, I mean, do I not get a medal? Do I not get a knighthood or whatever? Onto the back foot, next ball. Defended, back up the pitch. There is no run. 214 for 4. Dick Weller has 11. Matthews has 101. More tweets.
Iki says, Mickey had to put on the tracksuit bottoms to stop the full package peeking out from the shorts after being so excited watching that Matthews 100. Mark says, what do you call it when 2 crows get together? Attempted murder. Bishop has set a tone that's continuing on, isn't he? George Pritchard says it's just typical of the rather smug, self-satisfied attitudes that pervades a once not to be missed No, why not give guerrilla cricket a try? Obviously speaking to someone who's complaining about TMS.
Our friends. Yeah, we'll have to go and check that out and see what that's all about.
Jay Grover says, introduce Dan Lawrence just so we can get another snort of Puritan disapproval from the bear.
We got change of bowling, this man.
Is he a batter or bowler?
Sam Curran.
What's his distinguishing feature?
Sam Curran.
His thoughts from Zimbabwe.
Sam Curran.
And his beloved eyelids, yes.
Sam Curran.
And his first delivery comes nicely into the slot, Dick Weller's slot, that is, and he powers it away through the offside. Jimmy Anderson tears after it, just about pulls it up, flicks it back. He's helped out by a colleague, and that's probably the first good bit of fielding Anderson's done today. He's had a bit of a rank day in the field, even though his bowling's been absolutely superb. You can't expect miracles. You can't expect everything of a man of 38 and a half. Sri Lanka moves to 216 for 4. Dick Weller moves to 13. They should have got 3 runs there. They really should have got 3 runs there. They possibly thought it was going to go all the way to the boundary, so didn't chase as hard as they might have done. It means he's got another go at Dick Weller, see if he can swing it away from the left-hander. He's in, bowls, not this time. Onto the back foot goes Dick Weller, covers up in defence, pushes to extra cover.
I can share with you the tweet that led George Pritchard to suggest guerrilla cricket. It was from Mark Hebden, who said he was disappointed to hear Alistair Cook say he wants to put the commentator's kiss of death on Matthews on 95 on TMS. He's supposed to be impartial. Now he's no longer on the field, and surely all batsmen want to see centuries anyhow.
Well, yes and no, I suppose. Yeah, that's the trouble with going into the commentary box too soon after your international career is finished, isn't it? This is chopped out into the covers and fielded by Best. There is no run. It doesn't seem like a heinous crime to me. But the more people that come and listen to us instead of them, the better, really, is all I can
absolutely. Say. I mean, I would say that... is that a replay? Or?
No, it's a replay.
It is a replay. I think what they're implying is that Angelo's a bit knackered.
If in this game, I think it's fair to say we were all happy to see Matthews get 100. But if you'd been playing Australia, I'm sure you would have put the kiss of death on him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Warner.
Pushed up to mid-on. This ball, full one from Curran.
Gladly
getting a run. Yeah, but I mean, Australia's completely different for English people, and vice versa.
Yes.
You know, as we, I think I saw Jack Leach being interviewed earlier. talking about how they were all sitting and watching the Australia-India final test and how they were all rooting for India, and then they're all thinking, hang on, we've got to play them next. So yeah, everyone likes to see their enemy, as if you want to use those inverted commas, come to grief, don't they? This is pushed with a little bit of movement into the offside, half stop. They'll be able to get through for the single. Dikwella moves to 14 and Sri Lanka to 217 for 4. 22 minutes left in the day if we get all of that. 8 overs and 1 ball left to be bowled. We won't get all of that for sure. The wind really is getting up there, isn't it? As we look at those flags draped beneath the ramparts. But, not really.
Well, that would be suiting Jimmy's in-swinger from the other end, wouldn't it?
Maybe that's what's got it to go so much. Curran into Matthews. Matthews trapped a little bit on the crease there in defence. The ball runs up to mid-off. That's the end of the over. 217 for 4. Dikwella 14. Matthews 101.
So Warren joins us. He says, morning all, and shares a sentiment I think a lot of us felt yesterday. Free at last, thank God Almighty we're free at last.
Why has Boris Johnson resigned?
No, if only.
If only he could have taken him with him.
Exactly.
But there you go. There should be some sort of reciprocal agreement. If they vote out one of their hideous dictators, we should be allowed to.
Absolutely.
It only seems fair. I mean, special relationship and all that. Anyway.
Yeah. You don't have inspiring alternatives, I've got to say. Jay Grover says, sorry, I was genuinely ignorant. I didn't realise Butler were actually that shite. About.
Yep. Well, to put it bluntly, lovely evening sunshine as Jimmy Anderson turns at the top of his run, comes in from the fort end, bowls to Dikwella. Dikwella's propping onto the front foot and just pushing to mid-off. There is no run.
Now, Peter Ward starts his tweet with 5 words which are actually a lie. He says, sorry to be a pedant. And anybody who says sorry to be a pedant says, I really love being a pedant. But a murder of crows is more than one, so 2 is a murder. Going to take the wind out of Mog's sails.
What about if you kill more than one crow? Do you become a serial crow murderer? This is flicked up to mid-on, and there is no run.
I think you're a murderer.
Yeah, it's a curious one, isn't it? There ought to be a word for that, but never mind. Jimmy's just looking a little bit tired, I would say. If it's been 38 degrees out there today. Mark Butcher at T was saying how energy sapping it is. And at 38 and a half, he's done pretty well. He's into his 17th over. He's gone at 1 and over. He's picked up 3 wickets. He's into Dikwella again. Dikwella goes back, looking for the singles. He pushes into the offside. Fielded by Bess.
Even now it's 29 degrees and 72% humidity.
Well, it's the humidity that gets you, isn't it? It's not just the heat. I mean, even in Perth, as you would know, Messi, 38. You can sometimes get by in 38 degrees because it's not that humid. Or when I've been there, it hasn't been that humid. Yeah. But
we had 35 when you get this week, and it suddenly got humid. It was unbearable.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is Anderson again, round the wicket. Dikwella turns it off his hip, or did that just strike the hip and glance on its way down to Sam Curran at long leg? I think it was a leg by. Yes, that is signalled by umpire Dharmasena, who's officiated very well today, I would say. 218 for 4. Just the 2 extras as well in this score. 2 leg byes. That was one of them, so there must have been another one somewhere during the day's play. Not quite sure when. Matthews comes down to face. Can Anderson get that big booming in-swinger going again? He's in, bowls, and he whips this up to mid-on. Lovely shot, slightly on the move, but he won't get a run.
Sam Phillips says Guerrilla Cricket proudly sponsored by Ben Folks, and rightly so.
Yeah, we should get onto him about that, shouldn't we? Absolutely.
Jay Grover says for no apparent reason, Guerrilla Cricket, they frolic with the shopping trolleys in the River Don.
Yeah,
of course.
can imagine that. Anderson in, looking to try and swing it from leg stump to off, but gets it a little bit wrong, or just maybe the swing wasn't there, and it's clipped beautifully by Matthews. Hasn't played many better shots than that today, and that's gone all the way to the mid-wicket boundary for one of these.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
That is the end of the over. Sri Lanka are on 2 for 4. Jimmy Anderson ends that over with the figures of 3 for 20 from 17 overs.
Farong tells us that Bangladesh win by 7 wickets and retain 3rd spot on the ODI World Cup Super League standings.
Oh,
West Indies are going to be in big trouble with that.
Yeah.
Leah wants to know if we're back to the names for multiples. If so, a multitude of neckbeards is called a federation.
Federation.
Yeah, I'll get my coat.
Never heard of that one before.
Federation. Anyhow. Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus, the dog just farted.
Too much information, messes.
Yeah. Are we back?
Yeah, we are. Curran starts new over, left arm over the wicket to the left-handed. Dick Weller defends a straight, good length delivery, and there is no run. We've had all sorts of trouble with animals today, haven't we? We've had Suki getting on Tony Bishop's desk, trying to be a media star. We've had Jono's crazy dog racing around under the table, it would appear, and now you're rather uncouth pair. Anyway, 2 slips in the gully. In comes Curran. Again, can he pick up a wicket before the day is done? Not like that, he won't. It's defended straight back to him, flicks the ball up with his boot, and sets off and his troop back to the end of his run.
Looks very dark behind there.
This one's in breach of the Chemical Warfare Convention, I'm quite sure.
Dear.
Knuckles says it's very hard to tell when Angelo Matthews is knackered. These days he appears to move with a perma-limp. He's about as flexible as a starch girder.
I thought he looks a little bit freer, actually, than I've seen him for a couple of years. Anyway, here comes Curran. Bowls short. Chopped out to extra cover. Where Lawrence fields, there is no run. Yeah, no, I thought he's been moving reasonably well. I know exactly what you mean about the perma limp. He does seem to have had that for several years, but he looks a little bit more chipper, I would say. Big dark clouds surround Galle now, but I think we're going to have enough to get through, enough light to get through to the top of the hour. Curran it is again. Bowling to Dick Weller, he's in, fullish, aims a drive at it, checks that drive, and the ball runs up to mid-off.
I don't know about you, Curran just doesn't seem much of a threat to me.
He hasn't today, although that said, I mean, he should have had a wicket in his first over.
Yeah,
I think it was. He should have got rid of Pereira. I mean, Pereira didn't make England pay for that. Not that it was a drop chance or anything like that. It should have been LBW. But he hasn't looked particularly threatening when he's come back, either in the afternoon session or this evening. Doesn't seem to be getting much swing. This one is tucked away neatly on the onside, equidistant between mid-on and mid-wicket. It means they can get through for the single. This is the 31st over of this session. 68 runs and one wicket. So it's been a little bit tight this final session, where no one's trying to yield an inch.
Mog says you bastards never claimed to be impartial anyway, so I'd expect you to barrack hard.
Well, you know, when it's Australia.
Absolutely.
I don't really barrack against anyone else too much.
South Africa?
A little bit, maybe, when they were good. Now, he's trying to turn that into the onside, Matthews. He gets a little bit of a leading edge, and the ball runs up to mid-off. That is the end of the 84th over of the innings. Sri Lanka have moved to 223 for 4. Dick Weller has 15, and Angelo Matthews has 105.
Mog concedes that the pedantic comment on murders of crow is technically correct, the best kind of correct. Pirate Badshah is with us. Morning. Owing to both sleep and the need to do various things, this is the first opportunity I've had to listen. Sadly, it's near the end of the day. Solidarity with the crows.
Well, you know what? Hombre Nuevo had 227 in the GPL, didn't he?
Ooh, where we are, 223. 223 for 4. It could be your lucky day, Ombro. Well, the sun is out over the ground, but the massive dark cloud sort of around the arena is extraordinary. Just hasn't dumped its load yet. Yeah, in comes Anderson, bowls onto the front foot comes Dick Weller. Stops sniggering in the back there, and goes straight to extra cover. There is no run.
Sorry. Grand Theft Auto says Jez and the Bear called it. Sixers ended up on 185 for 5, which in normal circumstances would be a decent T20 score, but that's 45 runs short or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, chasing down 232, it's not going to be done that often, is it?
Yeah.
Anderson again into his 18th over, past the umpire, bowls. It's just neatly chopped again into that offside. There's Johnny Bairstow. There he is, loitering under his sun hat at backward point. Been keeping a very low profile today, I have to say.
You can see why Dick Weller would get in trouble abroad. He plays everything away from his body, doesn't he? I mean, his feet stay on the stumps and his hands go to the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you got a bit of pace off the wicket, he'd be stuck.
Yeah, or any movement whatsoever, you know.
Well, he was dropped from this team not so long ago. He's found his way back into it. Anderson is in. Again, a little bit of movement away off the seam. Just jabs it at the last minute into the offside.
I pick him just for his appeals.
Well, you have to, don't you? I mean, he's an entertainer, really.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like the Rishabh Pant situation, although he's obviously not quite as good as Rishabh Pant. But this idea that does he play his own game all the time? Well, you'd have to say yes on the basis that it's now worked for him in saving a test and winning a test, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In Australia, against really good bowling, defended on the front foot by Dick Weller, straight back to Anderson.
Well, interestingly, the really good bowling wasn't that good. Cummings was great, but the others were very ordinary, I thought, considering their potential talent.
Well, I watched the full highlights package of each day last night. I don't know, it must have been a couple of hours, not a couple of hours before we came on there, a couple of hours before I went to bed, I suppose. And something distracted me from the final day, so I didn't again see much of the final day. That's slightly in the air from Dick Weller, as he played a very strange chip shot where the bottom hand came through unnecessarily. It could have easily carried to mid-off. Fortunately for him, it doesn't. So I haven't really seen that day, but everything I've seen of Cummins when he's been bowling, and Hazelwood, I would say as well, seemed to have bowled well, but maybe that's because I've seen mainly highlights.
Hazelwood has bowled well, but the last day he was off.
Right.
But the crazy thing was that Australia didn't rotate their bowlers at all through the series, so they had the same 4 bowlers for the whole series, which seemed mad.
Well, it's very difficult to, if you think they are the 4 best bowlers, defended back to Jimmy Anderson, and there is no run. That's the end of the over, 223 for 4.
Leah says, why is Jimmy stroppy? The temperature perfectly matches his age. Adrian Lowe's, hello Adrian, says, sorry for joining the party late. I now know what the Dick Weller dice game was all about last year. Yes.
Good. We've been trying to educate and inform you. You can read an article on our website, not just a web page, a website. If you go to features on GorillaCricket.com, you'll find another lovely article written by our friend Scott Rutherford, Australian journalist, and he tells you all about what was going on, captures the flavour of what was going on at Gorilla Cricket as the pandemic loomed over us, and what we've done in the middle of the night. Gorillas do it in the dark. You can go and have a read of that as Curran starts a new over, defended by Angelo Matthews on the front foot, and there is no run. Dick Weller has 15, Matthews has a wonderful 105 from 223 balls. Some of the more distant hills that we used to be able to see are now shrouded in the filthiest, blackest of clouds you could ever imagine, but the sun remains over this little patch of cricket. In comes Curran, whipped away by Matthews. That's a fine shot. There's 2 men after that. They're not going to get there. Yes, they are. The long leg is going to get there. It's Dominic Best. Dominic Best seems to be everywhere in this field, and they've got through for 2 more. Matthews goes to 107. The score is 225 for 4. I think England will be a bit disappointed, having got that wicket of Chandimal, that they haven't been able to prize another one this evening. They've got about 7 minutes, so I'd guess 1 more over after there's still 4 balls to go in this over. This partnership now worth 32 from 98 balls, so good consolidation. Maybe not as many runs as they would have hoped to have, but they've got the wickets in hand. Up onto his toes goes Matthews to a shorter one, and plays that nicely off the back foot up to mid-off, and there is no run.
If they survive tonight, then the first few overs tomorrow morning are going to be absolutely crucial.
Well, it's going to be a crucial first hour.
Crucial
It's going to be a
first
crucial
hour.
first hour.
Yes.
Yay! We'll be able to dust off the old jingle, give it an airing. The crucial first hour jingle, one of my favourites, and we look forward to hearing that tomorrow. Curran in again, outside the stump, too short. Matthews trying to get some power into the shot, but not really succeeding. It goes to extra cover, and there is no run.
The Light Rollers shared an article about Shardul Thakur, saying down to earth guy, a new cricketing superstar. He was fantastic.
Well, do you know what? It was very interesting watching some of that Australia-India game. I mean, I managed to watch the first session of most days, and then generally fell asleep, including on the last day, which is why I was trying to catch up with it last night. Curran in, bowls, full of ball, defended up to mid-off, and there is no run. But I was just thinking, I mean, the most enjoyable part of the game that I watched was when Sundar and Thakur were together and batting, and India were in deep straits at that point, and another wicket there, another couple of wickets there, and it would have been all over for them, and Australia would have escaped with a very big lead. But they batted absolutely superbly. Some of the shots they played were absolutely breathtaking. Really,
for a debutant, who never expected to play a test at all, Washington was amazing.
Absolutely, this is defended to mid-off to complete the over. But the other thing I was going to say, can you imagine 2 English players doing that, with one making his debut, one who's only played 1 test match before? I thought, I can't really see that. But I wonder whether it is it that these Indian guys have been exposed to big-time cricket through the IPL. They've been exposed to big crowds, so they don't necessarily get as nervous on the big occasion, even though it's a different form of the game, than perhaps you might if you haven't experienced that. That's the kind of thing that was going through my mind as I watched it, and I just wondered that maybe that's what enabled them to play in that manner.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
If this
The spirit of that team was amazing. It really was.
Well, it's incredible. I mean, you can't think of another situation where a team has lost its captain and its best batsman by some margin, and then come back from being bowled out for 36, forced to draw when they really had no right to, and then to cap it all on the final day of the series with that extraordinary run chase. It's absolutely brilliant. Curran will continue. No, sorry, it's Anderson, but he's doing something with his offside field. He's got a slipper gully, a shorter extra, a straighter extra at orthodox, mid-off, and a backward point. What's he going to do? Is he going to float it up out there for Dick Weller to aim a drive at? Not on this occasion. It's close to off stump, allowed through the keeper, and there is no run. Final over of the day, I would suggest. And Dick Weller comes down the pitch to give it a little bit of a pat down. Maybe he's thinking along similar lines. 225 for 4. We're only going to be 2 or 3 overs short of what we should have had, so it's not been too bad.
I think especially about that India thing as well, is that having thrown away that first test, which they should have won as well.
Well, incredible. Anderson in, bowls onto the back foot goes Dick Weller, defends to extra cover. There's no run. Actually, I mean, it's easy to forget what a good position they were in that test at one point. They allowed Australia to get too many runs in the end, didn't they? And then that morning, that crazy morning, and it was like, something that we've seen very rarely indeed.
Well, they dropped so many catches.
Yes, they put down catches. Yeah.
But they were only chasing about 110, weren't they, in that final innings? When they were bowled out for 36, it was a pretty low score they had to get.
No, they weren't chasing, were they? Were they chasing? No, they weren't chasing.
No, they weren't.
Oh no,
they
that's
lost by
right.
8 wickets, I think it was.
Onto the front front foot comes Dick Weller, defends to Sibley at extra cover, and there is no run.
And that's right, they were about 60 or 70 ahead, weren't they? And they should have had a bigger lead.
They should have had a bigger lead,
and then
yeah,
they collapsed
absolutely.
and set about 110, 120, didn't they, to Australia to get, which they got for 1 wicket in the end, or 2 or 3 or something.
Do you know? I can't remember.
I think they lost 2 wickets, maybe 3. Nestlers has reprieved his role of the headline of the day finder. Festival of Brexit can play powerful role in healing UK, organiser says.
I don't
think so.
In your dreams, whoever's come up with that headline. Anderson in again, bowls onto the pads of Dick Weller, who plays this fine, lovely little glance. That's going to go all the way, and will bring him 4 runs.
Oh, that means that GPL pick's gone.
Oh yeah, the GPL pick is gone. 229. We're not going to get to 253. Is that what you've got, Messi?
Yeah.
No, we're not going to get that far, I don't think. We have 2 minutes to go, according to my computer. So I don't think we'll get anything more than today. I don't think England will be that bothered. They'll be quite happy to get off now. This new ball will still be relatively new in the morning. It'll have had the use of 7 overs. 22 fours and 1 6 in the day. I'm trying to remember the 6. Anyone remember the 6? Who hit the 6?
Chandimal.
Yes.
Was it? Okay.
Straight hit. It was beautiful.
Oh yes, that was. I do remember it now. Yeah, a really lovely shot. Anderson in bowls onto the front foot. Comes Dick Weller, plays it back down the onside of the pitch. Anderson picks up in his follow through, and there is no run. Dick Weller has moved on to 19. He's shown very good restraint. He knows what's required of him out there. 19 from 59 balls. Matthews 107 from 228 as we are about to see the final ball of the day. I would think.
I don't know if he bowls it in the next 20 seconds, they might turn it around.
Yeah, we shall see. The groundsmen are gathering as if they think it might be the last over of the day.
That looks like Gorilla
And
Towers.
in gallops Anderson, bowls. It's left alone outside the off stump. As the clock ticks round to the top of the hour. Damascena's seen enough. He flicks off the bails. That is close of play on day 1 of the second test. And
I do have a few tweets to get through.
Well, no, we'll come back to those, but we'll just round up the day for those people that want to get away. Sri Lanka won the toss, decided to bat. It's been a rather placid pitch to bat on, much better than the one at Galle just 8 days ago. They made 3 changes, which saw Kusal Mendis come out of the team, saw Shanaka out of the team, and it saw Hasaranga out of the team. Tirumani opened with Kusal Pereira as they did in the first test. Pereira was the first man to go. He'd survived a huge, confident LBW appeal against Sam Curran. Was lucky to get away with that, but then played an awful drive at Jimmy Anderson. Was caught by root at first slip. Toe ended it really. Looped up to the England captain. Oshado Fernando on his home debut chopped the ball from Anderson, a ball from Anderson down onto his stump on his 4th ball. He went for a duck, and they went on pretty splendidly, really, pretty solidly to lunch at 76 for 2. Tirumani was on 43. Matthews was keeping him in company. Tirumani went first over after lunch yet again for the 8th time in Test cricket, dismissed by Jimmy Anderson, caught behind for 43. Chandimal and Matthews then batted really well. They added 117 runs before Chandimal was LBW to a persevering Wood, who bowled pretty well in that final session. He made 52 from 121 balls, 4 fours and a 6. And then Dick Weller kept Matthews company as Matthews advanced to another Test century, his first at Galle. He made 107 from 228 balls, still there in the morning. 11 fours, very watchful indeed, played 1 or 2 really splendid shots off his legs, a couple of nice drives. Dick Weller, restraining himself well, also remained 19 not out. Bowling figures: Anderson 19 overs, 10 maidens, 3 for 24. Sam Curran 11 overs, 2 maidens, none for 36. Jack Leach 22 overs, 3 maidens, none for 66. And Bess 18 overs, 1 maiden, none for 54. Nothing really there for the spinners today. Didn't manage to keep it tight either, really. Wood 17 overs in that heat, pretty good from him. 2 maidens, 1 for 47. So, who's in the ascendancy, chaps? Is it
I've got
just
Sri
well
Lanka.
balanced? Just ahead?
It is quite well balanced, but I put Sri Lanka ahead because of the way they've held out for 17 overs, I think, since the last wicket. And, what have we had? 6 overs the new ball? Something like that?
7 overs the new ball, yeah.
7.
Yeah.
So I think they're marginally on top if they can sustain this tomorrow.
Yeah, it really depends, Bear, doesn't it? What happens in that first half an hour?
Well, exactly. It's the crucial first hour. If England get a couple of wickets and one of them's Angelo, in fact, if they get these 2 out, their tail's quite long. Saranga Lakmal will be in if they get these 2 out.
No, you get Pereira. You've got Duruwan Pereira, who can bat. He's got a top score of 90, I think.
Oh, right, yeah, that's true.
In Test cricket. He rather gave us a wicket away in the first innings in the last game, I think, to Dominic Best. But, they've still got a little bit of batting, and we don't really know what we're going to get from Ramesh Mendis. He's making his debut.
Yep. True.
Beneath that, you're absolutely right. Lackwell, Mbaldenia, and Fernando to come.
Yeah, so... if England can get early wickets and they can keep them down to something like 320, 330, it'll all then depend on England trying to get a lead. I mean, it's not the easiest. It's quite a placid pitch, but it's also slow paced. It's not easy to score runs, and it'll be death by spinners, no doubt. Who knows? But I would put Sri Lanka marginally ahead with only 4 wickets down. 5 wickets down, I'd have said evens, and if England had 6, then I'd have put us slightly ahead. But I'd say Sri Lanka's slightly ahead at this point.
Yeah, pretty decent summary, I would say, from you two guys. I'll just say that tomorrow you'll be in the hands of Nakul M. Pandey. I think you've got Tony back with you. You've got the likes of Annie and Katie joining you tomorrow as well. So lots to look forward with that. We'll just get some final tweets in, and then we'll say good nights. Messi.
Nestler's accurately observed that dog farts are evil, and Jay says you gave Grimmer's dog airtime. Now all the beasts want to fart for fame.
That's true.
And Warren says dog flatulence, another reason to choose Guerrilla Cricket Radio over any other source.
Absolutely.
I'll scoot through them. There's a few comments from Nakul and Jay who've had their fair share today. And Josie Oak, I think we should finish with this because there are lots there, along with some thank yous that are there. But Josie Oak says proper cricket.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, it's proper cricket day, wasn't it? It really was. And it's been thoroughly enjoyable. I hope you'll all join Nakul, Tony, and the rest tomorrow. Bear, are you in tomorrow?
No, it's my first day off of the series.
Whey! The Bear's having a rest. I'm having a rest. Tony will be in charge on Wednesday. I'll be back on Monday. Are you in tomorrow in your... No, not in tomorrow.
I think I'm in for day 5.
Day 5, okay. Messi will be back. We might even go to day 5. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's it from us from Guerrilla Cricket today. It's been good fun. It's been tight cricket. It's been good cricket. It's been old-fashioned proper cricket. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from all of us.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Good night.